Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. You're on stage, Cheekbones.
Oh,
I think I hear me in the background, though.
you can hear. You can hear. Am I echoing?
Yes, you have a little echo. I don't know if the audience is hearing an echo, but just a little bit.
Huh.
Hi, how are you? Happy Friday. I made
Well,
it.
I know you're alive.
I'm alive. I'm still surviving, despite now being on 2 antibiotics. God. But I actually have an appetite. So I'm excited to hear about your tips for food and stuff today, because obviously it's going to be interesting for me as well, because a lot of people always comment that healthcare professionals don't always get a chance to get enough diet. You know, I did take a nutrition class, but it was very scientific. It was definitely more chemistry than it was food. So
Oh yeah.
anyway, I'm just going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to let you and tell them the story, because I think that's really fun. And then we'll say hi to people and all that good stuff. And then we're just going to bring up the comment section, and we're not going to worry about any of the girls today. This is all about us today, everyone who's joining us. This is about
Yes.
your questions, your thoughts, things that you may want to find out about. It's a great opportunity to interact with a registered dietitian who's very happy to share her knowledge with everybody. And I know I get a lot of nursing students, which I love.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really important to talk about even maybe a little bit about the role of a registered dietitian in your experience and how you got started. And I'm just going to let you take it from here, Cheekbones. And
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
flash up people's names as we go along. So just introduce yourself. The story you sent me on the text message, I don't know if you've shared it on the channel before. I'm sorry, I have a terrible memory lately. I'm getting old.
Actually, do not think I've ever told how I got started or what led to my path down the registered dietitian road. After the birth of my first child, I was extremely overweight. I was 75 pounds overweight, and it was from eating. It wasn't from the baby. So I started
It
on.
wasn't water retention.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it was. It was the sodiums.
It was the water retention.
But so I just started on a quest and really fell in love with nutrition and thought, gosh, if I ever, my dream would be to become a registered dietitian. I lost the weight, kept the weight off for 30 years. But when I finally got an opportunity as an older person, non-traditional student, I went back to school to get my degree in nutrition. It took me almost 8 years to get it, because I also had another child during this time, and just took classes when I could.
Yes,
And
college in the United States, if nobody has attended, it's very intense, because I've attended colleges in multiple countries.
mhm, mhm.
And it's very intense here. It's very different than how it is in the UK. Not that it isn't intense there. It's just it's different here.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of
and
tests, a lot of
you
exams.
exactly, and if you've ever taken classes as a older student, non-traditional student, um, everything was different. The way you wrote papers, so I would have to go back and relearn stuff just to take classes. My degree required a lot of chemistry. I never
Right.
had chemistry a day. So I went back and to the basics. I audited classes. I got tutors. I'm more proud of passing my chemistry classes almost as I am of becoming a dietitian. But that just, I just loved everything about it. I absolutely love it. So, and then I had to do a distance internship because there were none available. I was married, had kids, and so I did a distance internship through Marywood University in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and then set for my boards and became an RD. And it
Now,
was.
did you sit? No, the boards for a registered dietitian, I'm interested to know, is that a license that is able to be used in multiple states? Do they have like a compact like we have with nursing, where though I'm licensed in Virginia as an RN, I can work in a lot of different states without having to apply for additional licensure? Is that the same with registered dietitians?
No. The boards that we set for is to get the actual credential as a registered dietitian. Then whatever states we work in, we have to apply for licensure through the state for that state. That nothing transfers, or you have to apply separately for each state. Like I at one time had a licensure in Mississippi and Tennessee. Mississippi's application was a half a page long and $50. Tennessee's, I think, was almost 20 pages and $150 and like a background check. And I mean, it was just crazy, the differences.
That's wild. That's wild because, as an RN, basically you take your NCLEX and that pass, which is obviously the NCLEX is a national exam for nursing. So it's like a standard across the United States on it. And once your state hears that you passed, I mean, straight away, they've licensed you in your state.
Yeah, no,
you don't do anything else. It's like, that's it. You don't do anything else. You just call the state board and the lady congratulates you for passing your NCLEX, which she was the first person to tell me I had passed. I kind of knew I had passed, but you still don't think because I timed out on the minimum number of questions, which was like 75 or 79, some weird number. And I was so shocked that I timed out so fast on the test. I was like, okay.
Well,
you have to sit like an exam like that where you have to go to like a Sylvan Learning Center and take a seated exam, because I know a lot of people are interested about how you actually can become a registered dietitian. I think that was one of our questions. Yeah. So I think we start out that way and then we'll pull up the community board. How about that?
Sure. Yeah, my testing center, I had to go to Memphis to take it, and I mean, you couldn't carry anything in there.
Oh,
nothing.
Oh yeah,
they have to go paper.
Yeah, it's intense. Yeah. Everything in the locker.
Yes, absolutely. So then, when I passed the exam, like I said, I'm a registered dietitian as long as I keep my CDR up, which I have to do so many continuing ed hours. I have to pay every year to keep that credential.
Same with the nursing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a racket, man. It's a racket.
And it's like $200 for my license every 2 years.
Internships themselves. Now, I'm just speaking for me. I graduated in 2008, but only, I think statistically, like 30% of nutrition students that want an internship get them.
Oh, wow.
You have to have an extremely high GPA.
Good for you.
You have to be very involved in, other things, other clubs, all that kind of stuff. And they're very, very expensive. And you basically have to pay to work as a dietitian for a year for no pay.
Wow.
So that's what the internship, it's different rotations and all kinds of stuff you have to do, but it's almost a year of just your internship.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that long, because I know in our final sort of nursing preceptorship in our final year, I mean, we did a lot of clinical rotations. I think every semester we had a clinical rotation.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of like literally for 2 years we were clinically rotating as well as classes. So maybe it's more than I thought it was. I remember the reason why I chose my program was because I had more clinical hours than any nursing program in the area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was more interesting to me. So did you go to like hospitals, or kind of where did you get these, or were they a variety of settings from like assisted livings to hospital, inpatient?
Yes, we did nursing homes, hospitals, dialysis clinics. The bulk of your intern hours will come from a clinical setting, a hospital setting.
Right.
There's also some community stuff,
And I think
but
I would, not to interrupt, but I think I would like you to kind of explain the difference, because I think there's so many myths out there around like, as you spoke about the other day, like a fitness trainer being a nutritionist and somebody who's actually a registered dietitian.
yes. A nutritionist, and I think this does vary state to state, but just as a general overall thing, um, is you just have your bachelor's in nutritional science.
Right,
There's no specialty, you don't have to be like the health departments a lot of times will hire nutrition majors to work there. But the registered dietitian is where you have to do that 1 year, or I think it's over 1,000 hours
right,
of working in the clinical setting, having your preceptors there, and you still have tests and papers and all that type of thing that you have to do. So that's the difference, is that we get the on the boots, on the ground kind of training
right.
that a nutritionist does not, or somebody with just a nutrition degree.
Absolutely. Like I said, the one class I had for, nutritionists, they called it, was basically a chemistry class. I was like all
Yeah.
excited because I've always been, you know, interested in, I understand that food doesn't cure stuff. Like, so if you've been diagnosed with cancer, doing like 15,000 avocado smoothies is not going to take the cancer away, or whichever coffee enema or whatever, wild health claim is being made. But I
Yeah.
do know that if you do have a good, consistent, healthy, whole food diet throughout your life, you're probably going to maintain a healthy weight and a good blood pressure, and therefore prevent a lot of things along the way. And I think that's the thing I find interesting about registered dietitians, is because unfortunately we're not getting better health as a population, in my
No.
estimation.
No,
And they're getting
absolutely not.
younger and sicker, especially colon cancer. I mean, I'd love to do just an episode on that.
Oh, I mean, I worked the oncology floor, and that was really eye-opening. And there's a lot of dietitians that go into the health, the food service aspect. They'll manage kitchens. They're not so much clinical
Right.
dietitians. And I hate to be so severe upon my own profession, but there are some really crappy dietitians out there. They will just come and hand you a paper, eat more vegetables, and I mean, that just drives me insane, because I take it very personally, and I always try to learn more, and always a lot of my knowledge just came from my own research. Nobody taught me this.
Right.
But if the advice for somebody who's thinking, hey, I might like to be a dietitian,
Yes.
find
What
one
advice
to
should you give them?
find one in shadow. But if you do not love it, don't do it, because
Right.
it's brutal. It's a brutal. The coursework is brutal. It's very competitive when it comes to getting those internships. And I had a lot of my professors tell the class, if you have below a 3.3, do not even apply for these
Mm.
internships. You
Yeah.
won't get them.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's, and I think that's part of how they weed people out in healthcare and make sure they're getting the, people that can, quick study and, can be like the best. There's a lot of grade pressure. I know that one, just being in grad school.
yeah, yeah,
And having to maintain the grade point. I think it was at the time when I was doing my scholarship, I had to maintain higher than a 3.6 and above,
yeah. Oh
which is
yeah.
I think a grad school in healthcare. So you really do have to, you're literally having to hopefully, luckily my strength is writing papers, which was
Yeah.
my first part of my course.
Well, the thing I felt, now I went to the University of Mississippi, hotty toddy, Ole Miss Rebels. But what I thought was so interesting was I had almost as many business classes as I did nutrition classes.
Oh, wow.
And I just never could understand. I spent so much time at the business building. I was just like, what? I just felt like that was kind of wasteful.
Is that because registered dietitians go into private practice, or?
I have all I could think is it's an aspect of, like I said, when you're managing a kitchen, which I have done. I was also the clinical dietitian, but also the director over the kitchen with ordering and budgets and all that kind of stuff. But I just felt like it was.
That makes sense for like an assisted living where maybe the registered dietitians are preparing, certain types of meals.
Well, actually in the assisted living arena, and also in the long-term care, the dietitians come in like once a month. I know some of the nursing homes, they just come in, sign off on the MDSs and go.
Well, I've worked at a fancy one, I guess.
Yeah, I did too. I was on staff at a long-term care facility. I was in-house and did a lot of work.
Oh, goodness. No, yeah. I promise you, I worked at this place. You would die if you found out how much it's now to join. It's like it has apartments and then it moves like over to like assisted apartments. And then it actually has like a medical at the very end of life.
Ooh,
and it's on the beach. And these people like do Tai Chi. They're on the beach. They have like a hair salon in there. They have like a big fancy like dining room where they have like silver service meals every night. They have like a prom king and queen. No joke.
Wow.
They had personalized kitchens for each of the like little units on each floor. And like all the residents had like, there would be like 2 or 3 chefs cooking all of their lunch. Like they would get whatever they wanted. If they wanted like French fried battered onion rings or whatever shrimp or whatever they wanted, they would have it prepared. And then they had a restaurant that overlooked the ocean. And you used to get a staff discount and they would make me the best grilled vegetable sandwiches and stuff, like whatever I want. It was so fancy. You've never seen it. This place was something else.
Well, I will never see the inside of that either as a patient nor they don't have anything like that around here. I think they got a nice one or two in Memphis, but
yeah, this is on the oceanfront Virginia beach, like up one of the parts, like looking over the Atlantic. It's like right there, man. What
they do for a living before they got old. That's what I want to know. I'm getting old. I need to know.
Probably all worked in finance. Maybe some old doctors in there. There's a lot of government contracting in this area. Military. Oh, there were some captains. And one of the guys had been the manager of the Ford plant.
Oh, yeah.
And a colonel in the army.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. No, it's got more expensive over the years. It used to be especially less expensive. It was something else. Okay, so let's not get distracted about me thinking about how fancy that place was. Oh, yeah. It was a very nice, I mean, if you're gonna, and the thing is, you have to enter in at good health. So people kind of move into the apartments when they're like 77 or something, and they have like they just get all the facility, but they don't take people in with disabilities or illnesses anymore. They're very strict. They used to accept everybody. But obviously the cost of healthcare is rising. And so some of the residents would not have been accepted into that location at this time. And there was a lot of people who wanted their family members into the medical ward area that I worked in. and they don't accept from the outside unless it's like a cardiac rehab patient that was going to be leaving, because we did cardiac rehab there too.
Yeah.
Believe it or
Mhm.
not, it was pretty fancy. Okay, let me put this like this, because I'm going to bring up our community questions. And I don't wish to talk about Chantel today because she
Mm.
has, I don't like the fact that she's using BED so much in her videos lately. It's been, I
Oh.
have an episode I actually found on the doctor's radio, and I'm going to kind of, it's about that topic. And I'm going to try to match it with some of the wild things she said. So
Mhm.
she's so problematic.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I asked a few days ago. Hopefully, can we see this? Hopefully we can. There we go. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, that works out. Can you see them as big enough? I don't think I can get us any smaller. Maybe I can do like that. There we go. What about that?
Yeah.
That works out well.
Yes.
All right. So everybody, thank you so much. If you do like this type of content, I do suggest that you like, subscribe, all those good things. I'm almost at 2,600 subs. So I'm
Right.
very excited. And then tomorrow, just to give heads up, I will be I'm embarrassed I must say, but I actually am going to officially launch my channel memberships tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
I'm so
So
excited.
yes, I have everything ready to go. I just need to add something to a video that's been made for me, a little video, and like a little voiceover to it, because obviously I couldn't appear on camera. But yeah, I'm excited. So I just need to I've got everything together. I should have a new banner, which is the one that's behind that I had up today. So yeah, I'm excited. So thank you, Bella Tayi. Thank you for that. Thank you. What's this? I agree, Ray. She's using that as an excuse. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm so angry at her for her, triggering people. I don't like that. Okay. So, did you have a specific question you wanted to start out with? I'm going to bring the questions up now. So, we asked, leave your burning questions for Miss Cheekbones here. Now, I can sort these by top comments or newest first. Do you have a preference?
No, I kind
Shall we
of went
start?
through all of them and tried to get enough together to at least somewhat touch on some of them. I didn't want anybody to feel left out. But if
Absolutely.
we can always do a part 2 if needed.
I think we could. I think we should still continue this conversation. I'm excited to have this conversation. I hope more people start to find us on YouTube, and hopefully I'll start to get better internet services. I'll be on camera and I can bring you on camera and we'll get this sorted out. So I have been I'm trying to get a studio built in a new place. I'm trying to sell my condo and move out of town to the country.
Right.
Somewhere out in North Carolina or Virginia. So I'm talking country.
Yes.
So, and I'm excited. And so I'm hoping I can build like a dedicated studio out there. And I'm excited because I actually at some point would love to have either other creators if they're willing, and then kind of go over some of their health stuff if they're, about their diet specifically, because I think that's one of the biggest things that I feel really could be addressed in this nation. I think we give too much leeway. I hate giving Cokes in hospitals. I hated giving a Coke. Why am I giving a Coke in a hospital?
Yeah.
These people are diabetics and they're asking me for a dang Coke.
Well, that's even when they're on a cardiac diet or people bring in, they have that right,
Exactly.
And, yeah.
But the thing is, it's making it more difficult, I think, to care for people because they're getting so sick anyway.
Absolutely.
It does make it hard. I saw one of these. Oh my gosh. I always want to think if nobody has checked out at Rose Thorn Reacts and her most recent videos on this individual called Willow, you need to check it out.
Ooh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, she's wild.
Okay, well, I'll have to check that out.
She's immobile. She's immobile and still drinking her Cokes. And she's got like every disorder known to mankind. She's a TikTok scammer.
Oh.
And she did Good one finding this person out. She makes Chantel almost look reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll have to check that out. I like Rose
Or
Thorn,
I
and
should
I've tried
say
to catch her
they,
when I
because they
can.
identify as a they, them.
Oh.
It's all going on. You need to check it out. You'll be horrified. You'll be horrified. I mean, this is when like Chantel 5 years from now, she doesn't calm down her carb intake. Because this woman this person is unable to move.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Oh, they have to have an aide at the house. Oh, yeah. And then she took her aide to court for a protective order. So you imagine she a real joy to work for.
Oh, gosh. A new train wreck, though. Anything's better than
Oh, jeez.
Chantal.
I have to think Rose Thorn reacts for that particular individual. Wild, or they are wild. Okay, so let's do our first question. Dying Duck Fit asks, suggested ways to increase veggie intake. For example, I add rice cauliflower when cooking my oatmeal. You don't notice it there. I get some extra benefits with my breakfast. So do you think you have, have you looked over that question, or you just kind of know off the top of your head?
Both. And this too will go for anybody that's like trying to lose weight, is before you eat your meal, make you a salad. And I'm not talking about Chantal salad. I'm talking about, a healthy salad.
You mean it's not just cheese and tomatoes?
No, it's not just cheese and salad dressing. There's actually some roughage in there. But get your salad dressing in a little cup to the side. Dip your fork in the salad dressing, and then do not have anything else on the table but that, or a nice vegetable soup, and eat that first. Now that will give you more vegetables in your diet, but also if you're looking for the weight loss aspect, because it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to send the signal to your brain, hey, I'm full. Right. You have something in your stomach and it takes time. So, vegetable soups, having a salad before your meal. And I think Bella brought this up, maybe it was the last stream, about doing the zucchini in the lasagna instead of the noodles. Adding whatever vegetable you like to casseroles, lettuce wraps. And I do this. I will puree mushrooms and add them into my ground beef. It makes the beef more juicy, and it stretches out your ground beef.
Right. So, and then mushrooms have other health or carry other types of minerals that the beef doesn't carry.
Absolutely. Smoothies. They were talking about Dying Duck Fit. Was talking about the oatmeal and the cauliflower. I do the cauliflower like mashed potatoes sometimes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that is good. That is good.
If you're trying to cut carbohydrates out, that's a way to do it. And they're not terrible.
I prefer to roast my cauliflower first and then make it into mash. I like kind of like a roasted cauliflower mash. Because that to me, like if you can do, you do like get it nice and baked, and do a drizzle of oil if you want, and or a little salt, little pepper, just roast it up, and it just gives it a different type of flavor to it.
Yeah.
I enjoy, because otherwise cauliflower can be bland.
Yeah. Pat makes a good point here. The cauliflower puree. Yes, you can puree your vegetables and use that like as a cream sauce. That's a really good idea to do that too.
I gotta see her little comment here where he said that. Oh, here we are. Here we are.
Yes. And you could do it for like an Alfredo type of sauce.
I mean, but vegetables aren't that expensive. Do you think it's just access to them, or people just scared to do stuff with them?
Well, I think
I don't understand. It used to be when I was a kid here in the 70s in the States, we ate tons of vegetables and had gardens, and now everyone just eats fast food.
Well,
I don't get it. It's really changed.
How it's I mean, we always had a humongous garden growing up. My grandparents had one, my parents had one, but I remember, and we had to shell and can and do all that through the summer. As a child, it was torture. But I remember at a point where my mother said, well, I'll just buy the frozen vegetables because they're cheaper and it's easier to do. Well, which is now not the case, but back then it was.
Right.
And, generational. I mean, my grandparents made their own soap. They had hogs, goats, chickens. They had
Right.
bees. They had a garden. I mean, they did it all.
Right.
And, just down to me, I may plant some herbs and tomatoes. That's about, because just land wise, you don't have the big yards to do the gardens. But I think it's just,
because we had a huge vegetable patch at my grandma's house.
yeah.
And every summer it was tomatoes, cucumbers, spaghetti squashes, whatever came out, peas, green beans, all of the, southern vegetables, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Brooke A said, the zucchini noodles.
Oh, yeah.
If you can do those. I personally, sometimes they're okay, but but if, try them. If you like them, great. But that's a good idea. Really good idea.
I mean, if you're kind of trying to figure it out, you can do half and half.
Yeah.
But
a lot of stuff.
I've done that before. Just added the zucchini noodles to the pasta and snuck it in that way.
Yeah. But it's just, it's easier to do a drive-through and, you have 2 parent families or even 1 parent family. I was a single mom for a lot of years and, it's just
that's why you get the crock pot out.
Yeah. Well, that's true. So, and a lot of people, I'm going to just talk about women here. They don't know how to cook and don't want to know how to cook.
I love cooking because then I get to make what I like to eat.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times healthier ways or healthier options will require a little more work or prep than, just driving through the McDonald's and grabbing something.
Oh, absolutely. But the problem the reason why I think these people also have less energy is because they have made a habit of driving through to the McDonald's, and that's not really nutritional food. You're not getting a lot of good nutrition. So you're going to start to feel sluggish and you're not going to feel well.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of in the cycle of just, sugary drinks and fast foods for these like kind of fast, easy sugar carbs. But it's really a crash. That's what, and they're finding it's not, all these ultra processed foods really aren't, good for us.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I think now, more so it's the cost. It's not cheap anymore. And my husband will say, oh, here, let me take you out to eat. And I'm like, that's going to be like at a nicer restaurant in my area, $100.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know how many, I can cook us for food for a week on $100. I'm tighter than Dick's hat man. No, I don't. So I said, no, I'll cook something. I just rarely will go out anywhere to eat just now because of the cost.
Well, see, I have, and I'm going to give a secret away. This is the only reason why I'll be sad to leave the condo, is there is a restaurant very close to my house that's a farm to table. And they actually have a huge garden where they grow all the like herbs and some of the ingredients they use. And then all the stuff is from everything's from Virginia, basically.
Yeah.
And they have like a very good beer selection, like craft beer, and they have the best happy hour. So on Tuesdays, they do a spicy bean burger and salad, like a big golden salad for $10.
Wow.
And then the beers are on discount too. So my friend and I go, so you literally can get in and out with a tip for about $30.
Wow.
With 2 drinks. Big drink. Good beer. Yeah. Good beer, sour beer, because they have less alcohol.
Amazing.
And less calories. It's a really good restaurant. So my friend and I, we've decided, we went to other places, but we've decided that's our place because we both, I mean, you can't beat a $10, homemade and they have like 2 other like fancy burgers at the same price. So,
Wow.
oh yeah, it's the best happy hour in town. It's a great restaurant, and it's like you see the chefs actually preparing everything. Oh yeah, it's real nice. Best happy hour in town.
I'm jelly.
So yeah, I'll be looking forward to getting off these antibiotics.
I know you will.
God, I haven't had a drink. I mean, I'm not a big drinker, but I like to go and have, the other day my friend wanted to go out. I was like, God, I just started these antibiotics. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But it would have been to my favorite restaurant. So that makes me sad. Anyway, okay. So we talked about, sneaking veggies. I think I love having salads. I must admit, I find that's the first thing I want to eat. I grew up eating a salad. Is there a preferred lettuce?
Well, the darker the green, the more nutrient.
You mean that little piece of iceberg and the tomato slice and pickle and the burger not going to cut it?
Well, but let me tell you now, I like my iceberg lettuce. I mean, I know it may not be too nutritionally up there on the scale, but I like the crunch of the iceberg.
I'm a fan of the romaine. I have to say.
I like romaine too. So I'll mix them.
Okay.
But you just, on your plate, try to have half of your dinner plate. I try to do non-starchy vegetables.
Okay.
And then, a fourth of starch and then a fourth of protein.
Could you name like 5 non-starchy vegetables real quick? Because some people don't even know that.
Well, it's easier. Like the starchy ones are the ones with sugar, or your potatoes, carrots, corn. Now, beans are
all
a
the
starch.
Stuff we eat in the South.
Yeah. Well, the beans are a starch, but they also have protein and fiber. So they're kind of one of your, middle of the road kind of thing. And I'm not talking, like diabetics, you need to be doing your portions and your controlled carb diets, but they do have starch in them. So it's easier to pick the ones that are starchy than not starchy.
So
but those are your main in our diets, I think, are carrots, potatoes, and corn.
Right. Especially the corn, man, where I come from.
Yeah.
Virginia is known for its corn.
Yes.
We're coming up to corn time real soon. It's everywhere. You cannot see it without having in the supermarket like husks of corn that probably just came down the street. I mean, it's everywhere.
I do. I love my corn.
Oh, me too. So I have to say I do love the corn. I do like the carrots, but I try to shred my carrots more into salads so I don't get quite as much of the carb. So do you think there's a lot of diabetics who are told that they have type 2 diabetes, but still don't know to carb count and still continue kind of on the same eating path? Do you think that there's a lack of awareness in some ways?
Well, I can speak for my area because it being rural South, I guess you would consider it, is
like
that
mine. Yeah.
People are diagnosed, they're put on a medication, and the resources to find somebody that can do diabetes education is very sparse. So they may give you something about this, but I don't think they push the diet aspect of it. It's like, oh, here's your medicine. So they'll take the medicine, they may get the numbers drop, but the eating doesn't change or it goes back to bad. The levels will go up, your labs will go up. So then they increase your medicine.
Right.
And I'm talking about orals. And then you're on insulin. And I mean, of course I'm going to be biased because I'm a dietitian. And when I was director at the hospital here, I said before, I did free nutritional counseling, and I would be booked out for months because there was nobody else. I taught classes, all that, because there was no other resource around here.
Right.
I'm
always surprised at happily surprised at how well attended some of the diabetes education programs have been. It used to be our healthcare systems, and I don't know if it's just they're cutting costs after COVID, or but all they used to have, at least here, a lot of like educational programs that people could find through the hospital. You could take parenting classes for free. The reason I know this is because they had us attend a bunch of these as nursing students.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
And
on the dietitian side of it, um, there is very little payment for dietitians. We get paid for a certain amount of time for diabetes and renal failure.
okay,
But that's it.
right.
So if, at the end of the day, they're looking to make $1. I didn't get any kind of pay at the hospital. I didn't,
Oh,
do any kind of Medicare number. I didn't do any of that. I was
oh
just,
wow.
there as a resource, but they were
Oh,
always very well attended
well, you
and
were.
really made some difference to people.
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, I know when I was working in my cardiac rehab, just, it did make a difference. And I finally, like I said, I was able to get some of the patients that were young and were type 1 diabetics and having heart problems and stuff already,
Yeah.
vision problems, finally just urged. I said, why have you never seen a registered dietitian?
Yeah.
What is going
And
on
I'm going
here?
to agree with Kat C here. Yes, we have the most education for the least pay. I will absolutely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and that's going to make it not a career that some people, and that's why they're so hard to find. Because I think here, I don't know in Virginia, this particular registered dietitian worked in a physician's practice, like
Yeah.
it was and so I think they probably are, doing okay. But they
Yeah,
probably don't get as competitive as nurses do for
no.
pay for that sort of amount of study. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think several years ago, it seems like they were allowing some payment reimbursement for cardiac education. And I think there is some payment for weight management under a physician's supervision or kind of umbrella thing.
Right.
But
Right.
they make it so difficult to to go into. I mean, to me, it's I honestly, I just rather do it for free. It's not worth the
Oh,
headache. Yeah.
that's so interesting to know, because I think we need so many more registered dietitians and having people educated around food, because I think a lot
Mhm.
of the things that we're seeing health wise, especially things like increases in colon cancer, it has to be related to the diet. It's the organ
Absolutely.
that takes the food.
Hmm.
So I just think I think people think that they're getting a balanced meal when they go to these fast food places. And I think you know, it's amazing, because I grew up in Europe where people just did not eat out like that.
Yeah.
Not in Britain. Maybe they do in the continent, but not where I came from.
Well, I grew up with a father who said, "I'm not buying a hamburger. You can have one at the house."
Oh yeah, I had
So,
that too.
that was not, I mean, they weren't this small a town. We didn't really have that many anyway, but he wasn't going to pay for it when you could have it at the house. So it was not anything we ever had growing up.
Right. Okay, let's get to our next question. They would like you to know your thoughts on the carnivore diet.
Okay. Well,
That was on Purple Island.
I may ruffle some feathers here.
That's okay.
As a,
I am a
and
plant-based eater, so there's no.
yeah, and I'm just speaking from an overall health aspect. You've got a diet that excludes vegetables, fruits, grains, nuts, legumes, and the amount of protein is like, it could be like 500% more than you need.
Right.
And then also the aspect of what kind of meat is it, like heavy and saturated fat, and I'm not saying you can't, like lose weight possibly or whatever, but I'm always on the long term, and I
Right.
can't imagine, and sustainability.
Right.
And I'm a total carnivore, but if that's all I had to eat, I would make me go nutso. So I don't like the carnivore diet. I'm that kind of all around healthy, complex carbs, lean meats,
Right.
fruits, veg kind of person.
And there's nothing about all teeth or dentation, that suggests that we're carnivores. We have too many teeth to ruminate vegetables in our mouth. We don't really have canines.
Yeah.
So the fact that people seem to think that they should only eat meat, which, as you mentioned about the increase in protein, is going to put more work on your kidneys at the end of the day. Correct?
Absolutely. So that's, you know,
Isn't that isn't it a fairly large molecule that the kidneys are trying to excrete if you have excess protein? Because you can have too much.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just overloading your kidneys. You know, it's just too much stress on them. So I just am not a big proponent of I don't like it at all. But that's just my personal professional opinion.
Right.
I mean,
For me as a cardiac nurse, I
yes.
don't like it because it's, even if you think you're getting the leanest meat out there or the most organic, whatever the F, it's
Yeah.
because it's all marketing. It's nothing really, but marketing to most of these people.
Yeah.
And you are not getting the roughage that you need in order to really keep your bowel biome healthy. And that
Yeah.
carnivore diet over time, I can't imagine, I know people swear that it's improved their diabetes and it's because they just literally took carbs out of their diet.
Yeah. That's it.
I mean, that's what it was. And there's plenty of vegetables that don't have carbs. So
well, any diabetic does not need to be eliminating carbohydrates from your diet.
Right.
You just have to lower them and then be consistent and good carbohydrates.
Now, I think a lot of people think when they go on these carnivore diets, they're going to put themselves in a keto diet, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I would like you to explain how difficult it really is to get to ketosis.
I personally think it's just almost impossible.
Right. Because I've had to actually work with a registered dietitian who specialized in neurologic patients, okay, in a children's hospital. And I think it was the adult hospital because the children's hospital didn't even have this, and the child was 17. Anyway, she, in order to maintain her good health, she was immobile, she'd had a motor vehicle accident, was going to have to be on a get into ketosis. And we were having to use those MCT drops. Is it MCT? Yeah. And different powders and I mean, salt, and it had to be measured perfectly. And it was still difficult to get her to ketosis.
Yeah.
Even with that was a drip food bag diet. Couldn't have been more specialized to put somebody into ketosis.
Well, the keto diet, which I think is basically very similar to the carnivore diet, the Atkins diet, all that time. The root of it, you're basically, well, I can get through all the jargon, but because it changes the pH of your blood, and we all have, everybody's body is homeostasis. It tries to balance itself out. Well, it will pull calcium to balance out that acidic pH.
Oh, wow.
Which are your bones and teeth.
Right. And also the calcium channels that work in your heart muscle.
Exactly.
And that's where I always listen to me always go for the heart.
Yeah. Well, that's your little sandbox there.
Well, we use calcium channel blockers, obviously, for medications, but obviously, if you're doing anything else, it's going to affect your calcium, it could still change the pattern of your heart,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's many reasons, and Atkins dropped dead of a heart attack. So there you go. So I'm not a proponent of that kind of stuff, and I'm not saying people haven't had success on it, but I've seen like long term. It's not. I don't think it's something that a lot of people can do long term, and I don't think it's for your optimal health either.
Right. I must admit, I'm not a fan of these like NutriPlans and all of these kind of processed meals that you're supposed to stick a salad with, It's just like, there's so many easy ways to do the different veggies and stuff. Okay, let's get to, so yeah, we're not a fan of the carnivore diet. Like I said, for me, I think about atherosclerotic plaque buildup from any extra fats. That's going to increase your low density lipoproteins, which is not the good cholesterol. You're going to probably have an increase in triglycerides and overall cholesterol numbers. Your HDL, I don't know how that affects the
probably would lower the HDL.
Oh, well, that's not good. You want it the other way around. Not and then that would be an interesting conversation about the HDL. But anyway, that's the high density, because people tell me I use acronyms and I should explain the medical language. High density lipoproteins, which are supposedly the ones that carry out the low density lipoproteins. But if you have a diet primarily of low density lipoproteins, you're going to build up atherosclerotic plaques within your coronary arteries and other parts of the body. And well, smoking seems to hit the femoral arteries.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's where it seems to like to target. But you don't really want to have that plaque build up in your heart.
No.
So, yeah. And then the work on the kidneys too, I think, always too,
absolutely,
for those heavy protein diets. Okay, let's get to our next question. Okel Miss. I'm terrible with the names. I apologize. It's fellow nurse here. Oh, curious on some input on optimal hydration. Well, this is interesting because we know that Foodie had a hydration episode recently. I see there's a fad going around. Oh my gosh. I'm so interested because these people are waking me up to things. I'm not a fad person. I just eat food.
Yeah.
About adding Celtic salt to drinking water to enhance nutrient content. Would love to hear some thoughts. Oh dear.
Well, the Celtic salt, which I think is a lot like the gray salt, it does have some nutrients in it, but they're very small amounts of like calcium, magnesium, potassium, very, very small, almost negligible.
Right.
So,
and it's still salt.
I don't know why you would add salt to water. Now, there are some people who are just genetically have low sodium. They may need some extra sources of sodium. You may be a triathlete and you need to replenish, but just adding salt to your drink, you're not getting any nutrients worth the bother. And then you're just adding more salt into your diet, which as Americans, we need to slow the roll on that one because we get terrible amounts of salt. So I don't see doing it. And that's just my personal opinion. I think this may be a TikTok thing. I don't know.
Probably. I mean, for me as the cardiac nurse, you're already eating a salty diet. Why are you adding more salt to your water? Salt is salt is salt. Your body don't recognize Celtic salt from Himalayan pink salt from, your table salt that you can get generic brand at the supermarket. It just sees salt. Yeah. I think people actually think the body recognizes different salt differently. And unless it's still, even if it has trace minerals for other added components from the salt, you're still taking salt.
Yeah. I mean, take a multivitamin with your water.
That salt there is less salty than the salt in the jar? No, they're the same.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter they are fancy salt or not.
Himalayan salt, all that stuff, it's just salt.
It's salt. I mean,
it may have a different, I think the Celtic salt may have a different flavor profile, maybe. But, other than nutritionally, it doesn't add anything.
And I want to kind of dispel, I guess, the myth that other salts are healthier than other salts.
No.
Because it's still salt. I'm trying, and that has been shown to increase blood pressure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Containing water. And then you're going to have more blood volume. And you're going to push your blood pressure up.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree.
So I don't think that, I don't understand where people get, did they just run a marathon? Is there a reason why you're drinking salt? The only time I promise you that I've poured literal packets of salt down my mouth is during like half marathons races.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's, that's been running here in Virginia Beach at like 90-degree weather, even at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
It's a grueling. I used to run pretty fast. So, but that's very different. And I obviously was trained to know that I could just open up a packet of salt and drink some water and go. But that's very
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
than somebody just doing it, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Probably somebody selling Celtic salt. So,
Oh, I'm
there's
sure.
always usually a money aspect to a lot
Oh,
of
I'm
these things.
sure. I'm sure it's a cure-all, miracle, whatever the heck.
Yeah.
Raise your blood pressure. Add
Hmm.
more salt to your
Hmm.
diet. Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Americans need. More salt in the diet.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because we need to find ways to have more salt. Because we just don't get enough. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, some of those packet foods, if you look at the quantities of salt. So there's still people saying that they've improved themselves. Okay, so Mia was saying that she was on the Mayo Clinic diabetes diet. Okay, because so she went on a keto diet. Was it actually, I mean, are you still on that diet, Mia? Like, I even see if it's like the Mayo Clinic. I know they've been trying to use this for diabetics, and they seem to love the fact they get lots of meat and no bread.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I think it has very instant results, but as a diet that if you want to sustain, I would never sustain that diet. I think at
Yeah.
that point you need to re-examine how to eat healthfully. If you've been able to stick to that diet to improve your health, then you should be able to transfer to a Mediterranean style diet
Hmm.
and
Well,
be healthy.
a lot of these diets, and I don't care which ones they are. Your pattern of eating prior to this diet, I'm a big believer: calories in, calories out. So you may have been consuming a lot more calories. You go on a keto diet, you have cut down the amount of calories. You have something structured.
Right.
You
And the
will lose
carbs
weight.
are out, so your blood
Yeah.
sugars are going to lower.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's
It's a
a
quick
lot of
fix.
times.
I think it's like a quick fix
Yeah.
in some ways, but I don't think
And
it should be permanent. I think
yeah,
that's
it
very unhealthy.
motivates you and gets you to a point, where you can you're like, okay, but like I said, I'm just that old school balanced and I am a lower fat intake kind of
Right.
gal.
And I've been
That's
the same way, and I've never really put on a lot of weight except when I ate pizzas right at the end of nursing school.
yeah.
'Cause they were vegetable, but still, it was pizza and it was cheese, and it was Pizza Hut, and they were cheap and they were easy to go,
Yeah.
And and there was a time when they used to say, if you're gonna do a fast food, pizza isn't the worst if you do it with veggies.
Yeah. Veggies, no
So
cheese.
yes, and which is what I do now, is I don't do any cheese. There's a great place by my place that does half sheets of vegan pizza on a sourdough crust. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sesame seed, it's to die for. And they'll
Yeah.
make it for you. So you just have to order it before noon.
Yeah.
And then and they'll do it like, and it's full of all local veggies, like filled with greens, and oh my gosh.
Mm.
So yeah.
That sounds good.
Oh, I know. I am gonna miss some of these places when I move out to the country. But I want to go to the country. Okay, let's get to another question. Let me not blah blah blah. Okay, so Dying Duckfic had another one. So she just wants to know, and then we got Mia Moo's question. With everyone being on the go and busy, suggestions for something healthy and quick that we could throw in our purse to avoid a stop at the drive-through or skipping a meal, than having blood sugar drops or overeating. So yeah, what's an easy to take, snack in the car? What would you recommend?
Well, I don't know by the blood sugar drops, is this on a diabetic aspect or just an average Joe aspect,
I'm not sure. I don't know if you want to touch on
kind of
both. I
thing?
know I sometimes used to feel hypoglycemic on the floor since I could
Oh
never get a
yeah,
break.
yeah. I have issues with that reactive postprandial hypoglycemia. So, I mean, my blood sugar sometimes drops to 60.
Wow.
So, but how can I say? If there's not diabetes involved, any kind of like
And we're
I buy
talking
the
even type
reduced.
1 or type 2, because type 1 should be also keeping an eye on their
correct,
diets.
correct. Poor old type 1, we leave them out all the time.
Oh,
But I buy reduced fat wheat crackers. If in a pinch, you're going to have to get into some food safety issues here. Okay. Obviously you can't put cheese and leave it in the car all day in the summer. And, so you have to get something that's shelf stable. So if it's in the winter months or, cooler months, then sure you can. If not, maybe pack you a little
don't they
cooler and
have
keep
some of
in
those
there.
little like packets of cream cheese that aren't refrigerated, or are they always refrigerated?
I think they're refrigerated.
Okay.
Usually, other than I know some milk's stable. My diabetic people, I would recommend they carried a bottle of Glucerna around with them.
Yeah.
Same if you're not diabetic, maybe an Ensure or something to that effect. Bella, that's what I said, an apple. If that's not like cut up, because we're just talking about the heat in the summer of what we're getting into. If a graham cracker, and they do sell, and I think you might can get them on Amazon. In a pinch, they sell the little cups of Smucker's peanut butter.
Okay.
Just a little individual.
Yeah, like the hospital ones.
Yeah, like the hospital ones.
So then you could probably carry like a salt. What about like I know I talk about the salt, but what about a saltine cracker? That seems to be what I'm living on at the moment.
Well, it's all in perspective. If you're not,
it's not the healthiest though. That's what I'm thinking.
No, it's I recommend something with fiber in it.
Okay.
A complex carbohydrate and a protein.
Okay. What about I must admit, I'm somebody who likes to carry nuts around with me. That's like my car go-to.
Yeah. And they're fine, but now nuts have a lot of fat in them.
Right.
So
that's what I was about to say. You have to be careful.
I think like maybe 12 almonds,
oh my God,
pistachios, the low or no salt ones, because
yeah, I'm bad for that. I do like my sea salted roasted peanuts. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a Virginia girl.
Well, my husband is an almond fiend, and so I ration his out because I make his breakfast and I make his lunch and I pack all his snacks every day. So it really sometimes sucks to be married to me, but I count out his almonds. He only gets a certain amount, low sodium.
Right. What about some dried fruit with that? Would that be too much sugar? I mean, for people who are obviously not type 2 diabetics. About like
the dried would probably be
fruit?
A lot of sugar. I know there's a lot of that dehydrated or freeze dried. Is that?
Oh yeah.
But gosh, they're so expensive.
Yeah.
So that's but just for a snack, my husband, I will air pop popcorn. I got him some very low sodium popcorn seasoning, and I'll pack them in bags, little like lunch, sandwich bags.
Right.
And so that's, it's crunchy. You get some flavor on it. He does not get any butter, and he gets no salt on it. So, but he loves that for a snack. So that's something that's shelf stable. You can leave that in the car all day. It's not going to.
Yeah, popcorn's a good one. It's not the microwave stuff though. Not that I have to say. I'm a fan of some kettle corn. Shocker.
I don't like kettle corn, but I'm not a sweet eater, so that may be why.
Well, I feel like it's got a little sweet and a little salt, and it's not too much sweet, so it kind of just helps me get that sweet. I like to mix it with I have to be careful because I know, so I do try to portion out a little bit of that with some nuts, and that's like a little snack for me. And it's something that I found I used to carry around, or like any type of like sunflower seed with it. So I try to do like my nuts and my seeds, and I'm always enough in the car.
Yeah. And Bella makes a good point. The pre-packed snacks from home. Read your labels, like the reduced fat, whatever your serving is. If it's 10 crackers, get those little snack bags. Go ahead and portion everything out.
Right.
You will pay.
And you can get recyclable ones now.
So absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't have to kill the environment anymore.
the containers, that you
Oh
wash
yeah.
and reuse.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but and just have them stocked up. So then when you're running out of the house, you can just grab one,
Right.
stick it in your purse, and go,
Right.
or put it in your husband's lunchbox.
See, my mom always suggested, obviously, I don't eat them anymore, but when I was younger, she used to always say to me, just always have a few boiled eggs so you can just eat one real quick if you're about to dash out the door.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, are you a fan of a boiled egg as
Oh
as
yeah.
a quick like snack or a way to do get them ready, and then you could slice them and put them on toast for breakfast in the morning? Or
Oh yeah, that's a breakfast for me a lot of times.
oh,
I'm
okay,
not a big breakfast eater. I never really have been a breakfast eater. I can tear me up some lunch and dinner, but I just never have been a breakfast eater.
oh, see, I
Um,
love some breakfast. I am a breakfast fan, so I
yeah.
have to watch out for those things. Like I make vegan style pancakes and stuff, but I got to be careful. All
I
right, let's
tell you
get
what I do. I make up the protein pancakes, and actually Aldi's has a really good mix. It's not high in fat. It has a lot of fiber in them. I make the whole box up, and then I just freeze them. And then
right.
I'll take some out, set them in the refrigerator. So if I need something quick, I'll
Oh,
just chunk it in
wow.
the mic. It has protein and the fiber in it,
Oh, that's a
and
great idea.
just microwave it and eat them. But my angel of glass, yuck, eggs. My husband is not an egg kind of guy.
Right,
Uh,
neither am I. I don't eat eggs. That's
I don't discriminate against any food except possum and turnip greens. That's the only two things I
ah,
don't eat.
ah, ah.
I'm an equal opportunity
Now,
eater.
if you're still eating some pickled pig foot down there, I'm gonna have
Oh
some
no, no,
worries.
no, 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 no. I don't do that. I don't do innards.
Chitlins and
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
I don't do appendages or innards either.
Oh gosh,
That's
so what's
add
the
those
other
two.
thing? Like the little chicken gizzards? Do you remember those?
Oh, my mother and grandmother ate those
Oh
livers and
yeah.
gizzards and
Oh yeah, I ate gizzards as a kid. I didn't realize what I was
chitlins and
eating.
all that.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
I see. Funny my accent and how much I know about Southern food. Hey. Oh, all right. So I think we came up with some great suggestions there. Obviously, it's just always don't bring anything that's perishable unless you've got, a cooler and you're gonna pack it out. Now that's always
Yeah,
something you can do. There
yeah,
are I bought like a lunch bag that was frozen, like frozen inside, so I could carry
yeah.
things that were cold, and it actually stayed cold for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. It's
So
just preparation is key,
I
whatever
think
you
that's the big thing.
yeah.
I think that, people have, not to sound like a horrid human being, but it was always so surprised. I don't know if it's because I didn't have kids, maybe. I don't know. But I was the one always coming with prepared food to any job. I've never really ate out. To me, that's a cost I don't want to spend on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And yet my colleagues who were quite unhealthy were always eating out. And
Yeah.
people would laugh at me because I always didn't eat out, And I
Mhm.
just could not believe I would work in healthcare and see people like showing up with, Dunkin' Donuts, Irish green, whatever the Frappuccino, whatever the
Yeah.
goodness me.
Yeah. Look, dietitians, they look at us, I mean, side-eyed. Work in a hospital and be a dietitian. I got called out for using an elevator and not the stairs as a dietitian. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I'm not a triathlete. I'm just a dietitian kind of
Oh
thing.
my
And I'm not
God.
schlepping up 8 flights of steps. So anyway, but yeah, dietitians get they all look to see what we're eating.
Oh my gosh. Gosh, they need to see what the nurses are eating in the staff room. They'd be
Seeing what
horrified.
the
Ugh.
nurses
Oh my I'm throwing my colleagues under the bus, but they really did have some bad eating habits. I'm not gonna lie.
eat.
Not gonna lie. Okay, so Mia Moo, and she just talked a little bit about her keto diet. But she says, I was interested to hear a bit about what we talked about this. She
Yeah.
asked, so let me just read your question, Mia Moo. I hope we answered that question if you came in early enough about the training to be a dietitian, how long it takes, what's involved. Wondering how both of you got into the healthcare profession, if you wouldn't mind sharing. I went the creative path during school and thereafter, but life experiences led me to more of an interest in healthcare. Oh, we'll give it a little love here, and nutrition later in life. So I would be grateful to hear your experience.
Yeah.
So do you want to add anything else about your experience or why? I mean, you talked about, no, was it your desire to actually lose weight that brought you to being the registered dietitian?
Absolutely. It was weight loss. And if she has an interest in healthcare and nutrition, like I said, if it's something you're really interested in, I would go, go for it. But I would shadow first to make sure it's something. I've done a lot of kids going into college have shadowed with me about thinking they might want to go into dietetics, but
Right.
it's never too late in life to do what you want to do.
I think they think it's glamorous. I think they think they're going to be like an influencer on Instagram with their
Yeah,
pictures
yeah.
of their smoothies. You know?
Yeah, I'm not about that life. So, I'm just, and I've had several people, friends reach out to me. They're on some LMN, there's MLM, and
Oh God.
oh,
Ugh,
my dad's been drinking this
ugh.
thing and his diabetes, I just want to know if you'd be interested in like selling. And personally, my ethics are I do not sell any hocus pocus juice or push any hocus pocus stuff to make money. I don't
Right.
care what it is.
And I would support that strongly. If anyone's seen any of my older content, I kind of started off as an anti-MLM creator.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
really because of the bad health messages these
yeah,
companies send and charge an exorbitant amount of money for just proprietary blends of nonsense. It's
yeah.
just
I mean, if I started my own multivitamin line, I'd say, hey, this is Sonia's multivitamins. They're
right,
exactly the same as this one over here at Walmart that you can get for half the price. But hey, if
right.
you want to look at my mug on your vitamins, here you go, buy mine. No,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I
And
probably
there's
wouldn't
been
even
a
do that.
recent registered dietitian, Abby Sharp, who's been called out for something similar. That she's released her own
Yeah,
supplement
yeah,
or some type of shake or something.
yeah.
Which they say these shakes are terrible. I mean, they really are not. I know that people who do bodybuilding, they want to because it's a way to get a lot of protein without necessarily all that fat,
Yeah.
and I think that's what they're aiming for. But most people
Mhm.
aren't bodybuilders.
No. I had a nurse, a male nurse, I worked with at the hospital, and God bless him, he was sweet as he could be, but he came up to me, goes, I just don't understand. I'm not getting any of it's about his muscles building up. He goes, I'm eating all this protein and I'm not
Right.
seeing any difference. And I said, well, what's your weight training? What are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm not lifting weights.
Uh,
And I said, well, consuming a lot of protein is not going to give you muscles. You can't do that. That's not how that works. But
right.
he literally thought if he ate a bunch of protein, he would just pop out like a bodybuilder.
I'm sure Music of the Fox, who is an RN and a bodybuilder, understands that you actually have to do a lot of work in the gym.
Yeah.
Because I have a friend who's a bodybuilder. It's been a bodybuilder
Well,
for years.
and
That's a
the
whole different thing. And they always say their diet isn't necessarily the healthiest.
well, some people
It's
there.
very restrictive, I think, is part of it.
Well, these meal prepping, like, lean steak and broccoli, a lot of us, like, my life doesn't revolve around food.
Right.
It's not the main focus of my life. I do try to prepare healthy, good tasting meals. I love to cook and that kind of thing, but it's not, if I really love something, I could eat it every day for however long. So I think that's hard for some people to understand that not just probably a bodybuilder too. It's your energy source. It's
Right.
not, and Shakara, it's not like, oh, look at this. I want a delicious this. She's in training. She's
Right.
eating what her body needs. So
Right. Right. It's very different. I mean, it's literally, that's a whole different thing. And that's not for everybody.
yeah, and
It's not
there,
for
yeah.
everybody.
That people saying something about Abby Sharp in the comments.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
on the fence. I agree with some things she says, and I do
Right.
not agree with others. But I'm sure there's other RDs that wouldn't agree with things that I say. So, she's got a platform, so that's my problem.
Right. And the thing for registered dietitians too, which I found interesting, is there's a way to, and I'm still going through this very long process and waiting to hear back from YouTube, to have my medical license certified to my channel.
Yeah.
And it takes 3 to 4 months, and they go and make sure that you have never posted anything that's controversial or, anything of, that nature, which I've
Yeah.
never have. So I'm sure I'm going to be fine. But still, it's a lot of applicants. Obviously, there's a lot of registered nurses,
Yeah.
and, but registered dietitians were not required or cannot get this certification through YouTube. So you can do it as if you're like a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist or other different ones, but not registered dietitians weren't one of the ones. So they're not necessarily like Abby Sharp isn't going to be held to like an evidence-based standard that I would be held to have this on my channel.
Yeah. And I don't understand that, but
I have no idea. Maybe they feel like they would get a lot of registered dietitians. No, I don't know. Maybe they're waiting to do it. I don't know. But it's one of the ones. Yeah, it was like it's like doctors, obviously dentists, nurses. I think there were a lot of the occupational health that were not included.
Huh.
So, okay, let's get to our next question. Okay, this is from Pat Ray. Bonus question: what is your recommended daily intake of sodium for the average adult with no medical conditions? So this is a good one, bouncing off the Celtic salt.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a lot in your area. 1.5 to 2 teaspoons a day.
1.5 to 2 teaspoons. How many milligrams is that approximately?
5 to 2 grams. Is that what it is?
2 grams.
I always do things in measurements.
Okay. Well, I'm always curious because people are going to read milligrams on the back of that sodium.
Yeah.
So they don't get told 1.5 tablespoons or 1.5 teaspoons, because that would probably scare people away. Because
that's for your whole day. And that's, you have to factor in what's already in your food.
Right. And actually keep to the portion size then, because, that Stouffer's lasagna says it's for 6.
Yeah. I'm thinking, best I can remember, I think the American Heart Association recommends, I think it's no more than 2 teaspoons or 2,000 milligrams.
Right. That sounds about right. I want to say it's like if you get restricted, you get restricted down to like 1,800.
Yeah.
But I would think 2,000 for normal cellular, because you need it for your body cells.
Yeah.
You can't eliminate salt from your diet.
And here's the thing for the salt addicts that, it's a rough patch, but if you can get through of really decreasing that salt and try to go back to eating the foods that you used to really enjoy, they'll be so salty you can't stand it. Your body acclimates to it. Now, my twin sister, I don't know how her blood pressure, she had to go to the doctor the other day, was 80/60.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, she has no high blood pressure. She's not overweight. She doesn't have any health problems. But I mean, I ain't never in my life seen somebody eat so much salt. I'm over here with my Mrs. Dash and all that. And, because I just try to. I don't have high blood pressure.
That's interesting. I wonder what's happening there. Could be a reason for the low blood pressure. That's not good.
She usually does not
have a valve issue.
She usually it's normal.
Okay.
She just eats a lot of salt, and her coworkers were like, "Oh my God, your blood pressure is going to be 210 over 180," and it,
Right. Oh, that's funny, because I have to say, I do have pretty low blood pressure. I think it was like 106/56.
Yeah.
Which I was like, really? God. But they took it on my right arm. And I was like, when the girl saw 56, I said, don't be scared. I said, I know, I go real low. I don't think most people are seeing 106/56, and I'm not medicated. So I can only think the antibiotics are playing me. But I have never liked a lot of salt, which was surprising because my mother loves salt but didn't really salt the food. I guess she just added hers on. And I really am not Like I like I said, my salty peanuts and my salty popcorn, but that's about it. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
don't tend to salt things.
Yeah.
I was never a big salt fan.
Yeah. And
So
I'm not, but for some reason, Jen's saying she's the same as my twin sister. I don't know how it works, but that's the way she is.
that's funny. That's funny. But just always be cautious because for most people, it doesn't work that way.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and I would always want to make sure that there was, just making sure I'm checking up with my doctor because I get worried too because my blood pressure stays very low. But I know I also am not I know that there's so much added salt to food that I just, kind of equate that into it, even if it's like, it's just wild the amount of salt you find in everything. I always tell people like that bread and that cheese you're eating, that got salt and a lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is be something since I think this is something you've been able to do. Somebody says, Ophelia says, what is the best strategy to maintain weight loss? I'm at a healthy weight now and would like to stay that way.
It's calories in, calories out, your healthy eating, lean proteins, fruit, veg, complex carbohydrates, and stay active. I mean, everybody's heard it a million times, but that's and I think some of these other questions will lead into this, but as you get older, I don't necessarily want to use metabolism, just your body structure, your muscle,
Right.
because of your hormones, it becomes your needs are less. So it's just always listen to your body, and but just eating a healthy diet and, staying on top of your weight, weigh yourself once a week. And so, because them pounds creep up, girl, they will sneak right up on you.
Right. And I think
So
there's like, I still meet a lot of people like, the patients of mine, and they just can't get away from the ice cream, the steaks, the this, the that. And I'm thinking, why? And then they complain about the weight. And I'm like, well, you eat such a heavy diet, that you
mhm.
just, and you're probably not as active as you used to be. So you're not
Yeah.
burning it up. Your cellular turnover has decreased,
Yeah.
so you're not needing the same amount of food. And there's a lot of energy that gets used up in food digestion. So
Yes.
instead of you now having the energy to go out and take a walk, your body's probably going to want to use that energy to digest the food.
Well, I think the statistics, and I'm pretty sure it's like 10% of your caloric intake is used for absorption and that type of thing.
Right.
So, but it's, you have to just watch your calories
But there's
that you
different
consume.
types of calories. Like a honey bun calorie is not the
Yeah.
same as a fruit calorie. And I think
Yeah.
I think people grab, and I've seen this with even kids, just grab these processed snacks all the time.
Yeah.
I used to be amazed at how many Cheez-It boxes these kids went through.
Yeah. And Bella, yes, thyroid. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
That the thyroid will definitely either take it off of you or put it on you. And
Right.
and it's really frustrating for the ones with the weight gain, because there's not a lot, that it's not their fault.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, it's women. We women have some real issues with our thyroids, I think, more than men for some reason, especially probably after menopause, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us,
Yeah.
I definitely have to watch my TSH levels, which are low, which I'm surprised, but I don't know if that was just because I think we get so busy. It's really hard. It is hard when you're working, X amount of hours a week and you're driving back and forth to work and you're trying to manage everything in your home and you are also maybe in school. It just, or you have a family and children. It's just a lot. It's a
It
lot.
is. Absolutely.
And I think it's just, it's a shame that I don't know how we can address it because obviously people prefer to have, women enjoy working as much as men or however you identify, want to be able to have independence and their own money. But for some people, it can feel like a full-time job. So that's why I think the crock pot is a good thing because you can just prep things the night before, keep it in the refrigerator, and then put it out and put the crock pot on. And by the time you returned home from work, you've got a meal. And you can make a sauce to go on something, like a vegetable or a soup. And then I don't like to get soups from the stores because it's too high in salt
and fat. A lot of them.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get to our next question because we could just chat away. All right. So basically, I think the way to maintain weight loss is that you do need to, so what's about the amount of calories? Is it like 2,000 calories a day we should aim for? Or is there a better calculation? Is it based on our weight?
Our first stream, I touched on it. When people ask me, like, how I figure out how many calories a day I need, I just say the Harris-Benedict equation is the, easiest kind of thing. And they're all over. You can put online, you can pull it up and put in your weight, height, age, and it'll give you an estimation and then an activity factor, and it will give you an estimation.
Okay, so you're calling it the Harris-Benedict? Is that correct? Yes, all right, now I'm going to pull it up and show everyone from me. All right, you can walk us through it. I'm going to share this tab real quick. Okay, so this one from Omni Calculator. Is this a good one? A basic metabolic. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to put in my weight first? Oh, shit. I don't even know. I probably lost so much weight. I haven't weighed myself. I've been too scared, honestly. When you see my weight and height, you'll know why. I think I may be sitting at 136 at the moment.
Ooh.
Maybe even less. I promise you, my pants have fallen off me. All right. I am, hold on, 5 feet. Hold on. Where's my 9? Where's some inches? Oh, no, I'm 5'9". Hold on. 5'9". Oops. Is it not letting me do?
Just put 69 in.
Oh, is that in inches? Oh, there we go. Yeah, thank you. There we are.
There you go.
All right, and I'm 54, and I identify as a female. Okay, so this is interesting. So what it's saying here is that my basic metabolic rate is 1,316.8. And my expenditure is 1,811. So how many calories should I aim for based on this?
Well, this one is a little different than when I see it, I know it. But
is there a different one that you rather me take a peek-see at?
It's all the Harris-Benedict, but it's the website. I'm not sure what that total energy expenditure is. The one that I use, you can put in like it's 0 if you or don't do any type of activity, and then another factor which increases your calories if you're more active.
This one here that says Harris-Benedict equation BMI calculator?
That may be it.
There's one from Cornell.
But I just to get you a baseline of there.
Yeah, it's got all sorts of stuff in this one. This has got a lot more questions.
Yeah, and that kind of thing. And so it gives you a better idea of what you need. When I recommend this for a weight loss tool, I just tell people don't put any activity factor in there, because the more active you are, the faster you'll lose the weight. Just, because you need a number. You need some kind of number.
Right. This one's giving you that to determine your total daily calorie needs to multiply your BMR by the appropriate activity factor.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if this it just sends me to some websites. Okay. So that's interesting. So if you want to, then obviously try to go for the one where it's asking you, but don't say that you're very active, because that would be somebody who's literally doing because there's people who think they're very active because they clean their house.
Yeah.
But that's very different from somebody going out and doing CrossFit, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, we try to walk every evening, and I would consider that borderline little to no exercise or light exercise. I
Right.
don't, because we're just walking, we're not setting a pace, we're just walking.
Right. Right. Which
So,
is perfectly good.
yeah,
So I don't ever want people to feel that they have to be sweating themselves in a gym,
yeah,
because I think people think that's the only exercise. Whereas just get out and walk, and you'll be fine. You'll start to get more cardiovascularly fit, and then you may be wanting to go and do other types of exercise.
absolutely.
All right, there's flashing ads. Let's get back to our questions over here. All right. So we don't run out of it. And I don't use up your whole Friday over here, though I love chatting about health stuff and nutrition stuff. But I
Hmm.
certainly appreciate you all being here this afternoon. And if you would like to hit the likes and subscribes and all that good stuff, I know Foodie got out another mukbang, but we need to not feed into her madness at the moment too much.
Wait till right before dinner. You won't eat as much. There you go.
Right. Go to take a peek, see at Chantel's mukbang, and you'll be no. But that's the best way to get some weight loss.
Yes.
Because she'll turn you off of food real fast for the amount she eats. Okay, so we've got Chantel here. Well, it's not from her, but Ohalino, and like I said, I don't know if I pronounced these names right.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no. Thank you. Oh, hell no. Now I see it. Thank you, girl. I have very little knowledge about blood clots. I was wondering if Chantel's diet, the amount she consumes of certain foods, could cause more, like, I guess, risk factor for blood clots. So obviously, we know that blood clots can be devastating. They really can.
Yeah.
And she's had CTEs before. So
yeah, and there are some genetic, like factor V Leiden syndrome, that type of thing. It has nothing to do with diet, but diet specific processed foods will build the plaque in your vessels, and then these plaques form clots.
absolutely.
And you break
because
one
you've
of
got
those
a
puppies,
narrowed stricture there
and
in your
absolutely.
vessel. So to try to explain to people, well, how does it happen? Well, as your body's got to deposit this fat somewhere. I think people think everything gets excreted somehow,
Yeah.
that it doesn't somehow remain in the body.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there are things that are that would not necessarily, I think, would pass through the kidneys, or they're going to start laying it out as atherosclerotic plaques,
Mhm.
and it can be in any artery in your body. It doesn't necessarily
Right.
have to be the coronary artery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And diets that are heavy in fat, low density lipoprotein, your dozen donuts from Dunkin' or Krispy Kreme or wherever you're getting them from.
Yeah.
All of these things with trans fats and saturated fats and monosaturated, and which is always an interesting conversation, polysaturated and this, that, and the other, is going to build up that. And as those arteries become less and less, they start to stiffen in those places where the plaques start to build up. And then over time, your blood isn't flowing as well through the arteries.
Yeah.
And
If
it can cause a rupture.
Well, if you're overweight or obese, it puts more pressure on your veins.
Right.
It can increase your risk of high blood pressure.
Right. I don't think that people ever think about their body weight actually putting pressure on their veins and vessels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or their organs. Like, it doesn't do anything like that. No, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I saw a study, it was years ago, that they're now seeing arteriosclerosis in 17-year-olds.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because of the, what I call the McDonald's syndrome.
Oh, absolutely. 3 times a day.
That's terrifying.
Oh, it's horrific. I can't support it less. I used to say I would take down every Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, and every fast food joint within a mile of my hospital. I was like, it's not, I don't think people understand. Fast food that your grandma ate in the 1950s, not the fast food that you eat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It's nowhere near the quality. All those buns look super processed.
Yeah. So just stay away from the processed foods, I think is, which all goes back to, your lean meats, complex carbs, and fruit and veg. There
right.
you go.
I mean, I had to explain to a patient who was getting like congestive heart failure that eating Mrs. Stouffer's meals was not a good plan. He just couldn't understand that, like these Marie Calendar and all these little, because he lived alone. He
Yeah.
just didn't understand that this food was terrible
Yeah.
because it's
Mm.
everywhere in the supermarkets here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Aisles and aisles of it in the frozen food department.
one of the best things you can do for your overall health is learn how to read a food label.
Right.
Look at them. I've been doing this for 30 something years. I still look at food labels, and
Oh,
I
me
am
too.
still gobsmacked at some of the, like I would have never guessed that something was so unhealthy till I, like, oh my gosh, and I
Right.
put it back.
Right.
So
First thing I look at is the sodium content. That's the first number I look at.
I always
How much
look at the
sodium does
fat.
it have? You look at the fat? That's interesting. I look at
Yeah.
see, that tells you I'm a heart nurse because I'm like right at the salt. And I see some horrific amounts of salt in soup, canned soups and stuff. So I just stay away from that stuff.
Yeah.
But you can make your own vegetable soup very easily
Absolutely.
in a crock pot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Best investment ever is a crock pot.
Mm-hmm.
You can make all sorts of goodies in a crock pot and just let it go.
That don't mean dump something in there with a bunch of cream cheese and butter and all that. We're not talking about those recipes.
No, not at all. Talking about getting like a nice vegetable stew put together. Shit,
Yeah.
one of my favorites is put a can of beer in that thing. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Sammy. I don't know why he decided to answer that one for me. Okay. So yes, I hopefully we answered the question. So anything that's, I don't think that people realize the amount of like plaque buildup that can happen from the diet.
Mm-hmm.
And these people aren't athletes working this stuff out. I mean, they're not out there farming. People try to eat like a farmer's diet and have these big breakfasts and all this stuff. And I'm like, who out here farming?
Yeah. They ain't pulling a mule. That's for sure.
You're going to go sit in an office and do finance all day. What's going on? Okay. All right. So that's kind of what we feel about blood clots. All right. So our favorite subject is women, menopause. I've been a normal weight, but things are different now. Oh yeah, they change. Any advice and info would be appreciated.
Well, I think menopause wise, I would recommend weight training because you're building muscle, helping keep muscle because you start losing it after the age of 30.
Right.
But it helps your bones. It improves your metabolism, your mental health, and also like the menopausal symptoms, like the fatigue and mood swings. So I think as we get older, as much as, look, we've lived a life, we've raised kids, we're tired. We're tired.
Right. Yeah.
But you just have to, I think, put more of a focus on your physical activity.
Right.
And also, what you eat.
And I think a lot of women will put their families first over their health. And then they end up getting really sick in their 70s. This is what I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they haven't, they just, and then it's a cascade when things start to go.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've just had my first grandchild, which was born on my birthday.
Oh my goodness. Irish twins. Not quite.
Yeah. So that's, my husband and I have always been active, and look, the man is a rogue. He like cats around with that here windy every now and then. I've catched him at the drive-in, drive-through. But that's what we've talked about is, look, we're now getting into grandparent stage and really want to do far more focusing on our physical activity and stuff. Right. Because you want to be that, being able to run and play with your grandkids. So I think it's more important as we get older.
Right. And I feel like, unfortunately, there are a change in taste buds. So people are drawn to eat more sweets and stuff. And I think that as women, I think we really should revise the diet that we have as we get older. Because I know we have hormonal changes. I'm always curious, why are we eating a diet that's meant to fatten baby calves?
Yeah.
Why are you eating all that butter, all that cheese, all that milk, all of that, because of the calcium? Well, you can get calcium from other sources. I think the calcium half the time is added. There are other tablets you can take
Yeah.
if you are deficient. But I think to try to think that the milk, the cheese, the ice cream, I think that's one of the biggest things that will put the weight on into women as we get older. I just feel like, why are we eating so much fat?
Yeah. And thanks, Team Psych Ward. Thank you,
Oh,
Boo. Well, as you get older and your taste buds diminish, and I'm sure you've noticed, like the elderly, how much sweets, like they will just
absolutely.
want sweet. Well, that's why,
Yeah,
because they can taste that
right.
more. Um,
Absolutely.
so, you just kind of have to uh,
But while you're still in your
focus.
mid-50s and hitting menopause, I think you
Yeah.
can try to get away from, try to actually, I think for me, I found maintenance of my weight. You just saw what my weight is at 5'9". And I wasn't much bigger than that before the antibiotics. I can promise you. I
Yeah.
usually sit around 140. Is probably where I sit at most of the time.
Yeah. And also make sure and maintain your calcium levels.
Right. Even these
That's
nut
very,
milks nowadays have added calcium, though.
yeah. Well, just as older women, you do not want to be getting into that osteoporotic
Right.
fracture category. Your calcium, your vitamin D, just, check
And I've
on it,
read
make sure
some
you're
studies
taking
that
it.
actually say that maybe having a lactose-rich diet might actually be one of the predispositioning factors to osteoporosis too, that actually it's not doing as much good for you as you get older.
Ah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll have to research that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
my
heard
goodness.
some because you look at other cultures where they haven't had such, dairy-rich diets and they have
Yeah,
less incidences like in Japan of osteoporosis.
yeah.
And
Now,
not in the way that we did. It might be changing now because the Western diet is
yeah,
influencing more
yeah,
other cultures' diets, which is terrible.
yeah.
We don't need to
Um,
spread the cheese around like that.
well,
Oh,
I'm kind of middle of the road dairy intake. I haven't. I mean, I drink skim milk, and I have for 31 years. But I have noticed my dairy consumption has dramatically dropped over
right.
the years. I do the supplements, and Team Psych Ward's asking what the recommended daily intake is. Oh gosh, these things I have to try
I
to
think isn't
remember.
it based on age though?
Yeah, I think it is, and it would also have to be what your levels are and
Right.
activity levels. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Right.
I'm For some
It's
reason
not
I'm
just
wanting.
simply like, oh, you could be deficient in magnesium. Take a magnesium supplement.
Yeah, I want for some reason I want to say 2,000 milligrams is.
Right, because
I
you
don't
wanna
know
be
why that.
careful with calcium because calcium buildup for the heart is not a good thing.
Yeah, but I'm thinking
So,
that that's
because that's
what
one of the
I'm.
markers we check is for calcium.
Yeah,
So, it's kind of, that's why I think that's why you guys have to study so much science because it isn't just simply it's why you shouldn't have, like, so much with every meal. I mean,
yeah.
because
Now
you
the
can actually
calcium.
have too much of a good thing.
Well, the calcium supplements, if you're going to supplement with calcium, make sure it's a calcium citrate.
Right.
And I also take it with the vitamin D.
Okay.
So, yeah, because the calcium carbonate is not absorbed near as well because you need that citric acid for it to absorb better.
Right.
So, make sure it's a calcium citrate.
Right.
But,
And it's
like,
definitely important to check your levels, 'cause I had a patient who was overdoing it,
yeah,
and it was
and
causing problems
Bella.
on his heart.
Well, I'm sure the pharmacist in here, yeah, there's always, there's always sidebars. You need to make sure, that it's something you can do. Yeah,
Right, right. That's why I think it's I know there's a shortage of practitioners in this country, which is really sad. I was hearing a report about that today and how long it takes even here in the United States to get an appointment with a health provider, you know? And so, I mean, I know that people, you know, are going to try to look for things that they could do from home without having, you know, to see a provider. And there's been a very successful marketing campaign, I think, by the supplement industry.
Yeah.
To make up where people aren't being able. But unfortunately, you probably should have it monitored by a physician because you do need to keep an eye on the actual levels in case you are overdoing it.
Yeah.
Or you're vitamin D deficient, like I found out I was.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big this supplement industry. My gosh, and I'm sure Bella and the other, if there's any other pharmacist in the chat, there are a lot of interactions with your medications and supplements.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you need to be really careful. And I'm not talking about. I mean, I'm just over the counter stuff. Just don't be running in and taking some of this stuff, you know. I mean, it can affect your heart, liver, kidneys. Just
oh yeah,
be very aware and ask your pharmacist.
Oh, and there's quite a few that actually will interfere with your cardiac medications.
Uh-huh. Grapefruit juice. With the
statins. Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah. You'd be shocked at how many doctors never tell their patients that.
Oh, really? See, I was always very good about. Oh, thank you, Junebug. I've always been very, you know, wanting to make sure because you know that was supposedly the job. A good nurse is going to make sure the patients have this, and it takes time. I mean, I remember one day I spent almost an hour on the phone with somebody trying to explain what an international unit was. I guess I had a package delivered. My dog is going nuts. It's okay, Junebug. I think it was just the UPS man. It's probably something for you.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Let me get to the next question. Don't come to my house. You're going to have to deal with that. Okay. Miss Pat Ray says, I have seen a lot of people giving diet advice on YouTube and thank you, Junebug, and making claims about seed oils. That they are the worst things to consume. A lot of these same people advise eating animal fats instead. None of these folks are dietitians. Can you share your opinions on this topic and or where to send the seed oil fear mongering originated? I'm gonna let you answer that question while I call my dog.
Okay. Well, I'm a basic kind of gal. The oil I use the most is canola oil. And I use some olive oil, but I don't use a lot of oil at all. I think a lot of the animal fat stuff came into with, you know, concerns about hydrogenated oils. On a nutritional level, your animal fats, a lot of time, like butter or even lard, are not a lot worse for you than some of the other manufactured oils.
Okay. Interesting.
And a lot of it's money. You know, people don't have, you know, $25 or $30 to plunk down on some kind of special seed oil. You don't need to be using a lot of oil. You don't need to be frying stuff. So, you know, a little canola oil, a little olive oil. That's
what do you think about the little spray? Like I get the olive oil in the spray can from Trader Joe's because I feel like I only get like enough to kind of cover the pan without like getting a ton of oil in there. That's
absolutely. Or the misters, you know, those, you put the oil in it and pump it up and spray.
Yeah.
Avocado oil. Yeah.
I like avocado oil. What do you feel about the avocado oil? I
have no problem with it. And there was a salad I used to eat. I want to say it was walnut oil, but I'm not positive. Just a little bit to make the dressing. It was really good. But
what about sesame oil? Because some people could be allergic, obviously, to the sesame seeds. But is that?
Yeah.
I know they use that a lot in Asian food.
Yeah, that's more for a taste factor. Okay. The sesame oil. But if you use the sesame oil, do not use it in the cooking because the cooking process diminishes the taste.
Right.
Wait till it's done, put a little bit, toss it like if you're doing a fried rice or whatever. I put a little bit of that in there and toss it. But you know, you don't need a lot of oil in your diet.
No, I had some because I'm obviously my diet's very low tolerance at the moment. So I had some noodles with some like a sesame soy oil that went to it. And I didn't use the entire pack. I just used a little bit at the end just to
Yeah.
kind of flavor it
And
enough. But
if you don't use like me,
I
I
would
don't.
usually add vegetables, but I can't tolerate vegetables too much.
Yeah, well, that's true. You're kind of a little under the weather now.
Yes.
But if you buy oils and you're like me, I don't. I maybe buy it once to twice a year, just a normal bottle of oil. That's how little I use. I keep it in the refrigerator. Keep your oils in the refrigerator if it's not because so they don't oxidize and they
and they
keep
go
it
rancid. I don't think people
Yeah.
realize that your oils will go rancid over time.
Dark glass bottles. Yeah, yeah.
So, do you prefer olive oil and canola oil? Would those be the two that you would recommend? And maybe avocado, or which would be your three that you would say would be better than whatever this latest food fad is?
I'm not sure what the seed oil of the month is, but I mean,
probably sunflower.
Yeah. Anything that's cost effective, that's not hydrogenated, a natural source, but you don't have to go spend a ton of money because, like I said, you don't need to be using.
I'm trying to figure out how much you're frying. Do you know what I mean? Because like I can even use like the misters just on the vegetables that I'm getting ready to roast. I don't need to drench it in oil. Do you know what I mean? Because you can season with the other spices and Mrs. Dash and all these other things. They have so many flavors now. You can get whatever flavor you want from around the world, pretty much, and add that. And I think that's the biggest thing is seasoning more away from salt.
Don't marinate your meat with oil.
Oh God!
Just use.
I cannot understand that. You already got a piece of fat.
A non-fat yogurt, Greek yogurt. That is not doing anything. And to me, I think it blocks the absorption of the seasonings because you got that oil. Just don't marinate with oil.
Oh my God. I saw that one mom on TikTok who cooked the burgers in the biggest amount of oil you have ever seen. She must have poured about half a bottle of vegetable oil into this pan.
Oh my gosh.
And then fried the burgers.
I don't understand it.
Like, I don't know. I was like, do you need that much oil to cook a burger? I thought they already were oily.
Yeah. Depending on what lean ground you use, but even I mainly try to buy the 96% lean. And if I do anything, maybe a quick, like your most quick thing of canola or olive oil spray. But I use nonstick cookware. So, that's what I throw them on the grill.
The grill is, I mean, I don't know. There's all the things about cooking meat on the grill. That's a whole different conversation, but maybe one day we'll get to that one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the next one here. What are some good resources for lay people to learn more about diet and nutrition themselves? There are so many people out there just trying to make a buck. You are so right, Daft Clinker. It's hard to know where to go for solid information. And I think that's what we're so over given information. How do we, what would you suggest first? I know what I would suggest.
Over information by underqualified people is what I would say. I think it's your aspect. If you're somebody who, has high cholesterol or some, a heart disease, you want to go to like your American Heart Association. If you're diabetic, the American Diabetic Association.
Or even the CDC has a bunch of information.
Yeah. National Institute of Health. That type of thing that's more in later. I mean, you can go to Medline, but look, some of those things, those are papers and they lose me.
No, I seriously say that, apart from the associations, the Center for Disease Control, believe it or not, has some great resources for diabetes because I used a lot of that information in grad school, and they had a lot of information about move more, eat this,
Yeah. That's the kind of thing, if somebody's trying to make a buck, then your best interest are not their concern. Your money is not your interest.
Right. So and I also don't think advice from a 20-year-old is
Yeah.
Not to be rude, but
Yeah.
just because they look good in their yoga pants and they're standing with a smoothie doesn't mean that they have the answer to nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely. So
You
it's
know,
those kind of sources, any refereed source. I think JAMA has some good articles if you're wanting
right.
to learn some aspects of nutrition. But
Now, is there like a society for registered dietitians that gives you more access to information? I know a lot of like my professional organizations, it's kind of like behind a paywall. A
yeah,
lot of the
now
stuff.
they changed us. We used to be the American Dietetic Association, but because of the American Diabetes Association, we changed it to the Academy of Nutrition.
Okay.
They do have a website, and there probably is some good stuff free. A lot more resources are behind a paywall, but
Right.
they probably have some good like printable handouts, that kind of stuff. And I think you might can even be able to purchase some of their. They have a really great diabetic diet booklet.
Right.
And I think you can buy that. Just the layperson can buy it. There is a discount for if you're a member of the academy. But that I have bought thousands of those things, and I've got one packed away somewhere in the
Right.
box.
Right.
But that would just be my suggestion. Just make sure it's a credible source. But I would
Right.
go to whatever areas.
A .org or a .edu or something. I wouldn't go to a .com
Yeah,
necessarily.
and not Wikipedia.
Right. No, keep away from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Any TikTok influencer probably should be steer cleared of enormously.
Yeah, I
A
like the
lot of
Mayo
these
Clinic.
fitness influencers, I definitely think they've got some problems,
Yeah.
Most of them probably have an ED half the time anyway. So
Yeah. Team Southmore brought up the Mayo Clinic. That I go to them a lot. I like the Mayo Clinic website. But just always be careful for those words like might, possibly. You don't want to get these theories,
right.
whoever you go to.
And there's nothing as there's no targeted fat loss, correct? Like you don't take that tea and it's only going to take your abdomen. Like all this idea that you can target weight loss through a product to a certain part of the body, that's nonsense. I understand.
Yeah. And what's the big one? Getting the toxins out of your liver or out of your body. That is the biggest bunch of hoo-ha. That's what your liver does that. Your body is designed to do that. So
people think when they sweat they're losing toxins. No, you're just sweating. There's nothing more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, people put way too much weight into that stuff. Yeah. You feel good after an exercise because you feel healthy because you got your blood pumping,
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing to do with a toxin clear out. So anyway, the only thing you're going to clear out is probably your electrolytes if you're not hydrated properly. Okay, so somebody wants to know, Shireen would like to know whether our bodies actually absorb all the eaten calories.
Absorb in the context of do they use them? No, you'll get them stored.
Okay, so I guess there's a thought maybe the difference between absorption where it would disappear and storage where it still remains.
Yeah, I mean, because if you gain weight, you've stored, your excess calories.
Right.
So I guess that it's not a dumb question at all. Targeted weight loss. My plastic surgeon can take care of your targeted weight loss.
Right. It's a tummy tuck because my girlfriend had that. We know what that is.
And hey, look.
Ozempic is not targeting anywhere; it's hitting every part of the person's body.
Yeah.
So,
but that if to put it just in a simple term, it does absorb it, but use all of them? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that's why people, why you put on weight if you're having an excess calorie diet.
Yeah.
Because you're not absorbing them, you're storing them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're storing it as weight often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because any excess sugars, if it's not being stored in the liver for glycogen to use when you're not eating to keep your body going, it's got to figure out where else to put it.
Yeah.
And it goes really well into the abdominal area, it seems.
Yes. And now I'm old. This goes back to start when I started my path to becoming a registered dietitian. When I had all that weight, I followed a diet. It was the T Factor diet by Dr. Martin Catan. He was over weight management at Vanderbilt University for years. And if I have any of my old school Nashville people in here, they'll remember the rotation diet.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the
I
80s.
always feel like I know that diet from somewhere.
The thin factor is a lower, it's very parallel to like American Heart Association diet.
Okay.
And his research, he states that your body is geared to store most of the fat you eat. You know, you do have some for your processes, your cells, that type of thing. But your body is far less likely to store carbohydrates than it is fats.
Okay.
And that's and I've lived it for 31 years. So you know, if you're eating an excessive amount of fats, you know, it's going to go to your fats.
Right.
Your
And then
fat
if
stores.
you look at any of these like polyunsaturated fats, monosaturated, you know, on the back of a honey bun packet, this is all fats.
Yeah. Oh, Bella's at Vanderbilt. Well, Bella, I don't know if you remember, I mean, I'm sure he's long past. This was back in the like 1990, 91. You probably weren't even born then. But anyway.
I know so I was. I was getting married at that time.
But he was over their weight management clinic at Vanderbilt. So anyway.
Right. I feel like there used to be more effort to try to get people to eat better at one point, and then we just let it all go in the 2000s.
Yeah, I agree.
People started to get more on the internet, and people started to get more offended when their diet was criticized.
Oh, thanks, Bella. I got a paper cut if you want to pour some lemon juice in it for me. Thanks. I was not born in 1991. Okay. All these youngins.
I know. Oh, well, we're trying to stay young over here. Okay.
Yes.
So let's say, Dying Duck had lots of questions. Can we touch on some ideas that are healthier to do when transitioning to healthy food choice from poor snack options, i.e. Oreo cookies? As an example, chips are huge. Oh, yeah. Craving comfort food. Radishes. That's a good one. She keeps radish slices in the fridge all the time. And if a country craving hits, I can pull out sprinkle with a little salt. Let's do some Mrs. Dash, maybe. And that can get me over the hump. Any other suggestions? Because obviously, snacking. We loved, I mean, let's not get us wrong. We all love to snack. Most of us do.
I'll tell you what I do, because my husband loves nachos. I just get the corn tortillas, we'll wedge them up, little spritz of spray, and put them in the oven for nacho chips, so you don't have all that deep fried stuff. Air popped popcorn if you like crunchy.
Right, and it's easy to do in the microwave. That air popped, you can buy one of those things that you put in the microwave, and you just add your kernels to it, and it will pop it right in the microwave. I understand.
Yeah, I've got the old school air popper.
I don't have the counter space.
But you know, the vegetables, baby carrots, and I will put a disclaimer here with the baby carrots that I get the organic baby carrots, because they taste so much better than the other regular. That's just my disclaimer. But you know, wash them, prep them, celery, your radishes.
Right, if I'd say celery's a good one.
Yeah, and I saw it in the chat. I don't know if it was you, Erica. Were you the one that did the zucchini in the dehydrator for chips? I saw that a while ago, and I thought that was an excellent idea.
Right.
I don't know if it was you. Somebody put it in the chat. I was thinking it was Erica.
I used to make kale chips when I was feeling really creative.
And that'll be killed. Yeah. I'm not a snacker. Really, I'm not. But my husband is. Lord.
I like those seaweed. If you don't mind the seaweed, the little seaweed snacks, they're not they're not very filling though, but they're tasty.
Oh yeah, I love those.
Yeah, I do like the little seaweed snacks.
Yeah.
I try not to go to Trader Joe's too often because it's like a snack shop on steroids. So I did find myself wandering in there today because I was next door at my hair appointment. So I had to get more applesauce.
Oh God.
So I'm actually thinking about adding a little bit of avocado to some chocolate pudding to make my chocolate pudding. I've got just a powder. I know it's not great. It was Jell-O brand. Okay. But I'm adding like my own oat milk to it. And then I thought to make it a little bit creamier because it didn't really give it a whippy consistency. What do you think about adding like avocado into like muffins and all these like, or maybe adding pumpkin into stuff or adding these types of purees into foods?
Oh, I'm all for adding the purees. Now the avocados have a lot of fat in them, so you have to kind of watch. I mean, it's not the same as
I only have half an avocado a day. I allow myself half an avocado a day, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
But a substitution I use a lot in baking. I buy the box cake mix,
right?
But instead of the oil, use applesauce.
I was about to say applesauce is really good.
Equal, and I'm sure depending on the bananas, smashed up bananas or pumpkin.
Now, would that work with a pancake to substitute a pancake? Because I know, but a lot of people buy like Bisquick, I guess, rather than making pancakes from scratch.
They do make a heart health. That's what I buy, the heart healthy Bisquick.
Okay. Would you add applesauce to that at all?
I think it would be more of a flavoring agent.
Okay.
Because you can make them just per the directions.
Right.
And
no, I do love to add blueberries to mine. Do you ever add any fruit to it, like a blueberry or a raspberry?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything you can think. Granola, a lower fat granola. I'll sprinkle that on them.
Right.
But yeah, I do use the heart healthy Bisquick kind of
thing. Now,
do
you keep away from the butter and the syrup? Or do you get the butter and the syrup out?
I buy an olive oil based butter, and if I want, like I said, I'm not a sweet eater, but if I'm wanting, that might need a little something, I buy low sugar jams and jellies, and I'll just spread a little bit of that on it.
Okay, because that syrup will kill you. That's
I mean, they
have the warm syrup in this area at the restaurants. You're in the South. You know how it goes.
Well, they do make the half sugar and then the sugar free. Just be real cautious with your sugar free products because they're sugar alcohols.
Right.
And if you have any problems with constipation, it will help you really well.
Oh God, yes. They had all that problem with those fat-free potato chips, I understand, at one point.
Oh yeah, that Olestra. Yeah. that was, it never caused me any problems, but it did a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Okay, let's get to the next one. We'll be here all day. I don't want to take your whole day up. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the keto diet. There's a lot of talk about bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and depression, but it seems unhealthy. I would have thought that having bipolar disorder, just schizophrenia, or depression would probably make it very difficult to maintain a keto diet.
Well, this was very interesting.
The mental disorders, I mean, they're not always the most compliant of the patients. So I don't know how you would get that to work without it being an inpatient setting.
This was very interesting to me. And so I did research on this. Now, we've heard of the keto with epilepsy, that there's really some good evidence out there.
Right. And that's how I was introduced for seizure control.
Yes. And there are some studies out there that the keto diet did help people with bipolar or schizophrenia. It wasn't, I don't know about the depression aspect. Most of the articles I pulled up were bipolar and it's especially schizophrenia.
Right. I'm thinking they're going to need some help though.
Oh, but let me stress, these were under very supervised programs.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. These are going to have to be strict clinical trials because
Yeah,
it's not a patient population that's very compliant.
yes.
Those
So
people have
it
to
don't
understand.
mean go buy you some keto food and stop your medications. These were very heavily physician monitored.
Right. And they were still probably medicated too.
Yeah, and it was, you can read all kinds of the stories about, they said some of them totally got off their medications. So, but like I said, you need to find a good program,
right?
If that's an avenue you would like to try,
right. And then you're going to have to remain. It's not going to be like one time you did the program, now you're fixed. Now you can go back to the fast food restaurant. It's probably not going to be that way.
Yeah.
People are going to have maintenance and, strictly monitored. So I think this brings up an interesting point because now people are going to try to say that the keto diet's going to be able to get you off all your, psychiatric medications, which is just not a good plan.
No. Like I said, it has to be monitored. And I think a lot of the case studies that I read about, they were like an inpatient.
Oh, absolutely. Program. You're not going to be able to do a controlled, or probably any type of, controlled study without having an inpatient setting and being able to monitor exactly what they're eating.
Yeah.
And, all the other aspects of it. It's interesting though, but I mean, because there has been a lot of that connection with neurological, which would make sense that it could potentially be something that would be interesting to look for mental health.
Yeah, and I think
don't believe it. But
I think it had, from what I read, something to do with just the schizophrenia, with the brain activity, and that they were more insulin resistant than somebody without schizophrenia. So I think that was the thinking process. They kind of levered off of the epilepsy, and thinking, well, maybe this could help them,
which is great, but it's a difficult population to keep controlled.
Yeah.
Not the easiest to work with.
Yeah. And Miss Pat, it was the keto diet was what I had researched specifically with schizophrenia.
But when these people are doing keto diets in a hospital setting, it's very different from what you get sold on a TikTok. Yeah. Just to let people know, it's not going to look like a cauliflower pizza, probably.
Yeah.
Bacon strips or whatever. It's probably going to be very different.
Yeah.
It's probably very bland, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They always have to have that MCT and that multi-chain triglycerides or whatever in there.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was, I guess, because of the medications and stuff, that a lot of times they were have weight issues.
Right.
With those specific types of mental disorders, and that the keto diet, they lost weight and then were able to manage their mental disorders without the medications. But like I said, I unless it's in a clinical setting, I would be very cautious.
Right, because I would be concerned to limit so many carbs, without being, because you do need some. And I don't think that eliminating a certain thing when your body actually needs that to function correctly is ever a good plan, and unless you're being monitored and it's for a specific healthcare reason, I think most of us don't need to be doing anything that wild. We just need to eat reasonable portion sizes and make sure that the half of the plate is non-starchy veggies, and fill yourself up on the veg and get that roughage in you. And then, a small piece of meat. I mean, these supposed to be like the size of a deck of cards, and people eat these enormous, it's like there's a contest to eat huge portions. Oh, all right. So did you know about this MALB in relation to kidney and creatine? Or is this something you want to leave to another time? Because I don't want to take up too much time. They were asking about MALB.
A whole other kind of talk, but I can respond to the what can you do to improve your creatinine levels
Okay,
to
let's see that.
reduce them. Um, increase fiber,
Okay.
decrease protein intake, low sodium diet, stay hydrated,
Right.
limit your alcohol, quit smoking, and none of those what's that creatine supplements, none
Well,
of
oh
those.
God, yes.
But that too is ways to decrease your creatinine.
Right. I heard something about like people using the creatinine supplements and then obtaining a plantar fasciitis. I don't. That was what I learned in an anatomy class. I don't know. Our anatomy teacher was like, "Don't mess with that stuff."
Yeah, I don't recommend it either.
It's bodybuilding and all of those folks. They love some creatinine. They like live on that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I mean, those GNC stores scare me. You walk in there, it's just jars of powder.
Yeah.
Oh,
And a lot of
diet. You're not going into space.
well, people may have some type of underlying health issue, a heart issue that they're not aware of. And you
Right.
go in there and buy all these supplements and you can, send yourself straight to the ER.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think there's like, especially when it's getting into our age ranges, in the 50s, and people starting to feel a little bit more sluggish. I almost feel like they're the like perfect prey for this type of supplement and doing I feel like everyone in their 50s gets like some weird ass diet, pardon my French.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Some guy did all this research on the latest fad diet and he's putting butter in his coffee because he's all keto. And I just those bros, I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I don't get it either.
One of these guys, he's like the founder of Quest bars, which are the nastiest garbage I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
I think all those Quest cookies and they especially for diabetics, it's garbage. Why do people want to eat? Where have we come to as a nation where eating something out of the packet with 40 different ingredients on it is supposedly the way to go?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about these protein bars and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
You can make a peanut butter ball at the house.
Sorry, yeah. Team Psych Boards, can you touch on applesauce again? Should it be good? Look, I'm not a big proponent of organic because honestly, you can say it's organic and I can't guarantee you that it's truly organic. And it's all about if you've got the money to spend and you want organic, you go absolutely and buy that. I don't buy organic applesauce. I buy regular applesauce.
So there's a lot of people still talking about the fact they're on keto diets and, getting great results.
Yeah.
I just don't think anything that's restrictive. It's basically you need to think about what you're doing to your heart muscle when you consume that much meat. Over time, I've known people with these restrictive diets get colon cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would really
I'm just going to be honest. I know people love the weight loss and stuff, but being skinny doesn't mean you're not skinny fat. Yeah. And I think they're seeing the blood sugars because they literally cut out the carbs.
And it would really have to be like, I would like you to do a 3-day diet recall, and let me look at that and see, kind of thing, because I think it means different things to different people.
Right. And I don't think people really understand what going into ketosis means necessarily. They're just calling it a keto diet, but you're probably not in ketosis. You're just restricting out certain things. And I wouldn't recommend it for anybody young to continue with it because you're going to have cardiac issues. Every cardiac doctor I know hates patients being on the keto diet. It's their bane of their fucking lives. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
So anything like that, it's all fad. You're going to find out in 10 years' time it's been a disaster to your body.
Yeah. And I don't think there's a lot of long-term studies on that.
And there's none of these people that are eating exactly the same diet. They say they're all on this keto diet, and literally all they did was cut out carbs and put cauliflower rice and cauliflower crusts and some bacon strips. It's amazing the amount of bacon these people eat, which is disgusting. Yeah. It's a lot of sodium.
Yeah, but and I'm not saying that
Well, I'd like to
My
know what the blood
experience,
pressure is doing on this diet.
yes, but my experience is if I took what you were eating before, if you listed how you ate, and then you went on a keto diet, you lowered your calories.
Right.
So, you'll drop a lot of water weight with the low carb diets, but
Right.
you eat a carb, you're gonna gain it back
Right.
because the glycogen, I think was it 2 or 3 molecules
Right.
of water for every molecule of glycogen is stored. So when you're starting to use your glycogen, you drop a bunch of water weight.
Right.
Now,
And I
look,
find that people who go on these keto diets, they eat a lot of processed foods, in my opinion. When I've
yeah,
heard like the foods they eat and stuff, it sounds like horrific to me. Sounds like the
yeah,
opposite of what you should be eating. I feel like
yeah.
it's so nutrient deficient that it's, you know, I'm not a fan unless it's being monitored by a doctor and they've literally said you need to be on this diet. But just a fad diet, this thing out there, I would like people to look into it further
Yeah.
because it's just a bunch of bros out there selling you schlup.
If you're trying to fit into you going to your reunion, you're trying to fit into a dress or something, you need to drop some pounds quick and want to do it short term, hey, I'm all for that,
Right. But I'm not a
but
fan of like just a diet loss for an occasion.
you're not.
I think you should be maintaining a diet that keeps you at a
Oh,
healthy weight. I hate all these excuses for every food and occasion and birthday and holiday and just BS.
well, now
I know.
I will say,
I'm pretty harsh on people with the food, but
I'm a normal weight and height, but girl, I ain't gonna lie. When it comes to my high school reunion, I'll be doing everything I can, short of killing a chicken in a ring of salt, to drop a few pounds on. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be honest.
I didn't even go to my nursing school reunion.
Oh,
I just blew that event off, which is fine because I was sick with antibiotics anyway. So
yeah.
unfortunately, I couldn't eat at the place that they were going to be having the event at because it used to be owned by Pat Robertson, who was evangelical Christian. I will not. I refuse to go there. Sorry for anybody who's evangelical or Southern Baptist, but I just don't want to go to where Pat Robertson was. His ghost's still floating around there up at Regent University. Okay, so let's go this. Okay, so this person says, I love your channel. We'll just go a little bit further. I think we're actually at the last questions. Actually, we did a pretty good job. We've only got 3 more questions and we'll be done.
All right.
Yeah, we did great. Or you did great. I love your channel as well as your personality, life, and vibe. Oh my goodness. This person's got low standards now. I love that you talk about being vegan. Well, thank you. I try to talk plant-based because I know vegan is a term that alienates people. So I try not to alienate people. She says her son is as well. Oh, I would like to know how to eat healthy after being diagnosed with IBS. Oh gosh. Poor IBS folk. I bless their hearts. I was healthy all my life, and unfortunately, due to taking antibiotics. Oh, now I understand this one. For a root canal, I got C. difficile a few months ago. Yeah. My gut is wrecked and my electrolytes are still off. I know foodies having C. diff in the past is humorous to many, and I laugh at everything, but it can take a person out. Of course, not foodie. She's invincible. And I can understand this because my own doctor is very concerned for me at the moment because I'm taking clindamycin for 7 days, 4 times a day, and Bactrim BID for 10 days now.
Oh,
and I just finished a course of Bactrim. And I'm actually doing pretty well in my gut because I took your advice and I've been taking the probiotics that I have, though I'm going to go probably get the other ones, the Floristat. 2 hours. I literally woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to take my probiotic, went back to sleep, and woke up at 5 to take one of my rounds of medications.
Yes.
So my doctor's very concerned, obviously, of my increased risk for C. diff at this moment. And obviously, I, as a registered nurse, am too. So what would you recommend in this respect?
I'm just the Floristore.
Floristore.
Yes. And look, they need to pay me.
They do
so much Floristore. But I'm just telling you that I changed our put it on our pharmacy list at the skilled nursing home that I worked at. Everybody, I mean, IV Vank coming in with the diff, and I
Oh
put them on
God.
that floor store, and I mean, within probably 30 to 60 days, there was no diff in that
Wow.
facility.
Wow.
And of course, with it, no requirements for dosing. You can take it with your antibiotic. It's,
Right.
it doesn't hurt. So, I would definitely be doing the
Are you
flora
calling it
store.
Flora Store? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I
go to the
need to check.
website because they
I
used to
can
have,
go get that at Target.
yeah, yeah. And go to the website because they used to have a really good coupon on the website for it.
Oh,
It
they
is a
did?
little pricey,
Right.
but
But
I'm
it's
talking,
worth it.
it's worth it. And maybe some see, I don't know because we've got the IBS in this. I'm just talking strictly on the C. diff aspect.
Right.
Some higher fiber foods.
Okay. I've been
That
taking a little bit of psyllium husk. Is that a good recommendation? Just adding a teaspoon to some of my electrolyte juices that I'm taking at the moment.
I don't know that you might want to do a soluble fiber like a gargum
Okay.
based fiber. That psyllium may be a little rough for you.
Okay.
Uh, that's what just a softer soluble based
Okay.
one is
Yeah,
what
because
I
I'm
would
definitely on
recommend.
a lot of unsweetened applesauce at the moment and saltine crackers. But I am
Yeah.
tolerating some fruits. Is that okay? Like
Yeah,
I
it should be okay as just I would stick on the lower sugar end of your spectrum for your fruits.
so
I
am I
wouldn't.
okay with my mangoes?
I got a lot of sugar.
Ugh.
I guess if you're eating them and tolerating them,
Yes.
that's fine. If
Because
you're
I'm
not
wondering if that's gonna
tolerating
help
them,
my gut biome, because I think that's one of the biggest problems too with antibiotics is that I don't think I don't ever the pharmacists now, I think, are doing a better job of wanting to stop and educate patients about at least finishing the course of antibiotics,
yeah,
because we have a lot of issues with that. But, I mean, I know that my stomach doesn't feel like it has in a while, you know?
yeah,
But I think we need to make sure that I think any course of antibiotics that probably should be accompanied with a probiotic.
I absolutely agree. And
But
if
I don't think that's enough education. Like, my doctor suggested it to me, and I had, the last round, it took me a day because I totally forgot too. And I think
yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
And with your probiotics, I mean, there's all kinds of strains of probiotics. Some of them for immunity that help the cilia, rebuild the cilia in the intestines, and there's different ones. Just make sure you get one that's right for you. But take it 2 hours if you can't afford the floor store. Just two
Right.
hours before or after your antibiotic.
Right. Yeah, and I have been doing that. Like I said, I woke up super early just to take it because I knew I had to have my next dose at 5 a.m. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be a fun time.
Oh, God
And I am
bless
very
you.
nervous about getting C. diff. So I'm really trying to I'm glad that I actually have an appetite this time with it, which is last time I barely had an appetite and I'm taking twice as much now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, obviously I'm nervous, but so far I'm hanging in there.
Yes.
I might have to
Please
look at
do.
this other one because I definitely don't want to get sick, It's
No,
something I
you don't
don't
want the
want to
dip.
deal with.
Mm-mm,
Ugh,
mm-mm,
yeah,
mm-mm.
yeah. So I think education around antibiotics. Now, with the diet, would you recommend usually a bland diet along with that too? Like taking down the diet. It's kind of what I've tried to do the best I can without feeling like I'm getting no nutrition.
Well, like with
I'm on
you're
mashed
talking about like the
potato
brat
and
diet, the old school brat diet.
except I can't tolerate banana very well.
Yeah.
That's the only thing rice, I'm not a fan of.
Oh. Well, usually, with like the brat diet and that kind of thing, it's
I'll
yours
do
is a
rice
little
noodles,
different.
but not rice itself, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Well,
Yeah,
it's because of your antibiotics. It's not it's not your gut. Your gut is secondary to the antibiotics that you're taking, and it's you have probably stripped and ripped your intestinal tract with those antibiotics. So
Yeah.
you might want to go to something like the soluble fibers, your more gentle kinds of foods.
Okay.
Because you basically probably just stripped everything off those
Yeah.
cilia
That's why I'm
in
like
your
on like Idaho mashed potato, instant mashed potato with nothing in it.
yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, you've lost weight,
Oh,
so that's
absolutely.
a concern.
Yeah.
So, anything you can tolerate and eat, that's what I would do because you've already dropped weight
Yeah.
and you're probably underweight for your height.
Probably.
So, yeah, and
I think I did get a BMI flash from one of my Center for Veins. I was probably the only person for the Center for Vein where they gave me a warning for having a low BMI.
yeah. So keeping your immunity up and keeping enough nutrition in you so
Right.
you avoid the weight loss. So if you can tolerate it, it probably wouldn't be bad for you to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I've actually done much better this time than I did last time. Last time was rough. This time
yeah,
is a little better.
yeah,
Like, I barely could eat the first few days last time, but this time at least I've, tolerated it, foods that are white. I should and a
yeah,
lot of applesauce.
yeah, yeah.
A
The,
lot of
the
applesauce.
old school brat diet is what we call it.
Yes, apples, apples, apples. And what's the tea for in the brat? What was the tea? I know it's bananas, rice, apples, and what was the last one?
Is it toast?
Toast, yeah, probably toast. Yep,
Yeah,
yep. I just can't do the bananas at the moment.
yeah. Well,
Well,
that's fine.
the bananas are a little rough, a little too strong of a flavor for me, which is why I like the mango because it
Yeah,
was very, it was very good mango, I have to say. I lived in Mexico for many years, so I have a lot of foods like avocado mangoes and stuff that I just love from that region, the salsas and stuff. So
yeah.
I certainly there's lots of things that I love about the food out there. Okay. So yeah, C. diff, it's not good. And we always recommend that you finish the course of antibiotics. A lot of times you will feel I felt like the first day taking it, I really did not feel great. This time wasn't great. I had been taking my probiotics ever since I started. So even when my course stopped, I was going to take these out for 30 days. I was like, I'm just going to keep taking them until they're gone or until my stomach feels right.
Yeah.
And I think there's, and there's a lot of people that get C. diff. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very easy to happen.
And what's the
Especially
treatment? The treatment for C. diff, antibiotics.
right.
So yeah, I have even put some patients on Fluorostor 2 times a day. I mean, these were really some extreme cases, but I'm telling you, most of my patients didn't have to take it. I would put them on it, the severe cases twice a day, I think for 2 to 3 weeks. But
Right.
after a month, they didn't have to, this diff was gone. They didn't have to do it. But if I had anybody coming in on an antibiotic, I immediately put them on Fluorostor. And I mean, and the diff was gone out of that facility.
Right. Oh, that's good because it's very
Yeah.
contagious.
Yes.
Ew.
And in a nursing home, that's not good.
No. And I know having worked on an oncology floor, those
Mm-hmm.
chemo medications will spark up some C. diff too.
Yes.
Methicillin or whichever one it was that we used to, not methicillin. There was one of the methotrexate or one of those metrotrexate or something. One of those chemo meds we used to give a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, just C. diff, just everywhere, just
Mm-hmm.
everywhere on immobile patients.
Yes.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, and then they're on a tube feed. You're like, really?
Oh, God. I know.
I'm like, why are they still doing this woman on a tube feed? It's just it's wild. How do you're spending an hour cleaning someone up and then they just go you turn them and it's just everything out again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you don't want them lying in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
it's really hard on the staff,
oh God,
you
like I
know,
said,
and they're
I had
so
one
at
lady, I
risk.
spent an hour cleaning her up.
Yeah.
Her daughter
Yeah.
barely visited. I probably spent more time with her mom than she did. Ugh.
Yeah. So it just, like I said, I had very good success with it. And uh, I just recommend the Flora store.
Yeah, I'm surprised how few probiotics I see with antibiotics at the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, there it's or and you know, and God bless the nurses, because you know you've got so many patients and then they have so many medications. When I worked
Ridiculous.
with the skilled and long-term care
Ridiculous.
facilities, I put in my own orders.
Right.
So I always, you know, if before we went to the floor store, I would always time it. But you know, you have that window. Nurses ain't got time for all that.
Oh, I
So,
know.
you know, with the floor store, they could just give it and could go on. It didn't matter. So
Right.
it made their life easier too.
Oh, I know. I promise you that Synthoid used to drive me nuts. You
Yeah,
have to be
yeah,
doing it at 6 a.m. But
yeah,
everything else is at 8.
yeah.
You know,
And
you'd
you
hope
know,
the night nurse would have given it, but no. Somehow they always
mhm.
managed to miss that one. Okay. So yeah, it's a pretty, I mean, it's not to be laughed at. And I'm somebody who's currently concerned that I could go that route with all that drugs. Clindamycin 4 times a day and Bactrim BID. Good Lord.
Good
Oh,
gosh.
this better take out this infection. It's going to take out my gut.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Taking out your
already suffered from dysentery, amoebic and bacterial in Mexico, and multiple stomach ailments, unfortunately. So I already have a fairly delicate gut area, I would think, which is probably why I have never been particularly drawn to fast food or fried foods or anything like that, because it was just always too heavy for me. Even as a
yeah.
kid, I never really liked that type of food. I
Hmm.
remember my aunt frying some flounder once, and I hated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always just thought it tasted greasy, and I didn't
Yeah.
like greasy, you
No.
know. But I did
No.
like a plate of spaghetti. I tell you, I would mess up a
Mhm.
big adult-sized plate of spaghetti as a kid, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one thing I did take down. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so this is gonna be good. So Sugar Okie says I'm 50 and started weight training this year. You touched on this earlier a little bit. How much harder is it to gain muscle once we hit our 50s? Because we start to lose
Harder.
a certain amount, don't
Yeah.
we?
Well, estrogen plays, you know, a role in the muscle protein synthesis,
Correct.
or creating new muscle. So when you're
Correct.
menopausal, your estrogen levels have stopped. But um,
And there's varying research about taking hormone replacement.
yeah, I take hormone replacement. I've not had any problem. I have a excellent doctor, monitors everything, labs, and
Right.
all that stuff. So,
And it depends on
you know,
whether you've had a hysterectomy, whether you're taking estrogen and progesterone, or you're just
yeah,
taking estrogen, correct?
yeah,
So
correct.
there's
I believe you
that.
are correct.
Yeah. So, and I know that I've been through menopause and I didn't take any hormone replacement.
Yeah.
And now I'm
I,
wondering if I should have, because I'm reading, you know, short-term use is not a bad thing in menopause.
yeah.
Um, but I'm not trying to have a relationship with a man, so I don't care about some of the side
Well, I just,
effects.
I just felt so bad. And, you know, I, for several years, talked to my OBGYN, which, you know, I kind of got pushed off about that. You know, "Oh, you're just getting older." I'm like,
Right.
oh, gee, did you go to medical school for
Right.
that marvelous revelation?
It feels
Um,
like you do as an older woman almost get forgotten by your OBGYNs.
oh, yeah, yeah,
I really like once you're out of your child rearing age, it's almost like you forgot you stopped existing, which is why it's
yeah.
good to get an internal medicine doctor almost because
Mm,
you know, I found my OBGYN, they just do a pap smear and that's like
yeah, yeah. That's basically it. But this doctor, I do the pellets, and, you
oh, is
know,
that the ones that they inject?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I used
They
to
make
inject
a,
those on people.
they make a little incision, put the little tube down there and drop the pellet. And
Oh,
I now
or maybe it was
my levels.
Prolia was a different drug. There was something for calcium, but I remember I used to have to shoot these pellets into people's backsides.
Yeah, yeah, that's about the same thing. But my levels were even after him. He's not one. I've seen some of them that like they just really want these higher levels. My
Right.
doctor is not like that, but it really did help me,
Okay.
and
So
so
what were you having, like night sweats? Was it?
No, I didn't have hot flashes. I didn't have
Oh, I
night
had them
sweats.
awful.
It
God, the
it was
worst.
odd because I even asked my doctor about it. He said he'd not heard of it, but like I was having like lower back pain kind
Mm,
of things and just tired and just generally just didn't feel well.
right.
And it really I had no problem with it and it worked great. And
Mm,
so, it's just, you have to do your research. And I
right.
talked to him before, I went and that kind of thing. And for me, it was a good choice for me.
Right. And unfortunately, I worked in radiation oncology during that time. And the first question we asked anybody with breast cancer was, have you ever had hormone replacement therapy?
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff. And my doctor, is not a proponent of that.
Right.
So,
Right. And
that,
and unfortunately, they did have to stop the studies because there was showing higher risks to breast cancers, which is not to say. I think what they've done instead is that it's more of a short-term course of hormone replacement and not like the longer term that they probably used to do.
yeah,
Um, I had the worst hot flashes you can imagine, and I would wake up, and I was at this time, I was running a lot in this time. So I was, I wouldn't say I was an unhealthy, person. I mean, I was out 3, 4 times a week at running, like running like groups and then running like 10 miles at the weekend on a Saturday with a group, just through Charlotte. I mean, running distances.
yeah.
And I had the worst tachycardia, like rapid heart rate, sweating. Oh my God, it was awful. I didn't know
Yeah.
if it was just the heat of living in North Carolina, South Carolina.
Yeah. Oh God.
But my heart, I mean, I'd wake up in the morning and my heart would be racing, just racing, racing. And I could not stop uh, sweating. It was awful. And the funny thing is, and this is just my anecdotal story, is the minute I took the cheese out the diet, it stopped.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, literally overnight from having symptoms of menopause to not having symptoms of menopause.
Yeah.
And there I have read some studies about that. And I do wonder about the additional hormones in dairy products. It's something to think about, maybe interfering with us as we get older because it's meant for babies. And those are
Yeah.
hormones for babies. And we're at a very different phase in our life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there is a change in your bodies as we get older. So to think that we need the type of, so I don't know. It's just interesting. I found when I became more of a plant-based eater personally, that a lot of
Hmm.
my personal symptoms of menopause, but I'm being watched by my doctor too.
Yeah.
So this has been my particular choice because I also I have some, Ashkenazi Jewish heritage. So I have some things that make me a little more hesitant, I guess, to use therapy. So I've heard that it might be better for me to have done. I don't
Yeah.
know. So, but I think it's a conversation with your practitioner, and it shouldn't be
Absolutely.
ignored. I think women should be better advocates. I think we do a really poor job of discussing menopause.
Yeah. I agree.
Because no
But
woman wants to be the face of menopause. Let's be honest.
well,
You know?
and I'm going to start the weight training because I've always been far more of a cardio kind of
Right.
gal. Uh back back several years ago. I
Right.
ran for years and years and years.
Right,
But
and I wanna go to do weight training too. I have a friend who
yeah,
does it every morning, and I can't go until this infection clears up because any slight exertion past walking, I unfortunately, my nose comes along with it, it seems.
yeah.
So,
So
um,
I would definitely just from a dietitian standpoint, weight training with menopause.
right,
Absolutely. Now you don't have to, go out there and Arnold Schwarzenegger it up,
right.
but
I think that's
it,
what people always think. It's got to be the extreme.
yeah, but it helps your bones, your metabolism. It helps regulate hormones.
Right, you need
And
that
all the
you need that impact that's not that's you do not you need the cardiovascular because you need the good heart health, but you
yeah.
do need that impact from the weights for the bone health. And I always say, I have my little hand weights here, and I've always had said to patients during a commercial break or whatever, just pick up the hand weights for 5 minutes and
Hmm.
just do some bicep curls. Just a little
Pick up
something.
Pick
You
up
don't
some cans of veg
right,
if you can't afford hand weights.
right. And
Do
5 and
that.
Below, if you're here in the United States, sells them very inexpensively.
Yeah,
So, I've
yard
5 and
sales,
Below. Where to?
yard sales.
Oh, yard sales, absolutely. Oh my gosh,
I had
absolutely.
I got rid of so many weights when I left South Carolina just because we just didn't have room for them, and
Right.
but I gave them away. I didn't sell them. I just gave
And
them
I've
away.
seen some really neat, if you have the money, little, like, dumbbell sets where you can add weights onto the dumbbell
Yeah.
to make it
Hmm.
heavier. I
I
just
got
have a 4 and a 5 pound at the house. I have
yeah.
a set of 4s and a set of 5s, and if I need to add weight, I'll just have a 4 and a 5 together in my hands to make
They
9 pounds each.
Amazon sales, I have it. And I just asked my husband about it the other day. I was like, "Where's my weight set?" We're still unboxing stuff from South Carolina, but
Oh my goodness.
it was a set. It had weights, and you could adjust the bar, so you could do curls or you could do the full bar thing. It was really neat, all in this little case. You
Right.
kept it in. It was
Well,
really really neat.
I was trying to encourage because I had a lot of patients, who have these gyms at their
Mhm.
apartments. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Why aren't you walking on the treadmill?" "Oh, I've got family coming into town." Well, get them to walk on the treadmill with you. It's always
yeah,
I don't know what
and
it is about us ladies sometimes. Why do we always have these excuses?
they make these. I have one, the treadmill, because I used to have the one that looked like a spaceship. I got rid of it. It's just like a little track on the ground. Like you
Right.
can slide it under a bed, just
Oh,
very basic and small. They're not like you're not going to be having to sell a kidney on the black market to pay
right.
for it. And Amazon has them, and I think
Okay.
they range somewhere mid $100 to $200, something like
Okay.
that. But it's you don't need a lot of room. They don't have
Right.
all that gadget stuff on them.
Right.
It's just a little treadmill. So the summer, especially down south, it's hot as the third
Oh,
level
yeah,
of
you gotta
Hades
be out
down
at
here.
5 a.m. if you're gonna do anything.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's really great to have. It's very easy to use, and you can get some that do have the handrails. You can't obviously slide them under a bed, but they do not take up any space. And I
Right.
have even run on it before. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so
That's
it's
I
a
think
nice little
that
thing to have.
yeah, that's a reasonable price, and I think if you do have and you don't have a neighborhood that you like walking in or a mall that you don't mind walking, because malls still are great places to walk in. You don't have to go shopping, but there certainly is a lot of feet to cover in those
Yeah,
places. Because it used to be that, people would meet at the mall and walk around there. I know that, at the hospital I worked at had like things trying to encourage people, to walk and be more active and so forth. But
yeah,
like I said, simply at the moment for me, because I've been dealing with so much, I've got the hand weights here, but I do think that we should encourage um the more weights as we get older because of the bone strength and how that helps. It doesn't mean you're going to bulk up. I promise you, you're not going to
yeah.
look like a bulked up person. And I think a lot of women fear that they're going to look too masculine And
Yeah.
a lot of women don't like the idea that they could lose their curves. I think that
No, the weight, the kind of weightlifting, I think that you and I are both talking about, if anything, it will make you look more feminine, not less feminine. We're not trying to get you on the Miss Olympia, and Shakara. I mean, God, I mean, she looks good.
oh
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
she's a
sorry, she
beast.
looks good.
But that's a
But
lot of work. And she says it
that's
is. I mean, that is
yeah,
so much work. I don't think
yeah.
people realize
You and I are
you
not going to
have to
look
live
like.
and breathe that stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to end up looking like Shakara transformations.
No,
That's not going to
not at
happen.
my age. That would never
Not at
happen
my
now.
age.
No.
It's not.
No,
And
when I was younger, could I have built myself up like that? I probably did have the build to get like that because I'm
yeah.
pretty broad-shouldered and, I'm
Hmm.
fairly athletic, and I've
Yeah.
always been more muscular looking than anything else. Um, Maybe because I was a runner, but I was the cardio queen. So
Yeah.
I just had
Yeah.
very, very big thighs, actually.
Well, that we could back in our young days, but it's just do it. And I think
Is it like 30% of our muscle mass we lose as we get over 40? Is it something like that? It's a
I just
fairly large
yeah, it's
amount.
but you start losing it after the age.
After
But
what age,
but I
sorry?
after the age of 30
Oh,
is when you
wow.
start losing it.
Mm,
But I
wow.
I never really noticed any kind of difference because I just turned 56.
Okay.
That probably in the last 3 years that I've noticed like a marked difference where like, you know what, this walking ain't cutting it.
Right.
I'm gonna have to hit the weights.
Yeah. I can't wait to get back to doing something like that. This has been miserable for me because I was excited because I was going to have time to go to the gym with my friend in the morning who's a bodybuilder. So she
Yeah.
was gonna, and I was just gonna join Planet Fitness or whatever, just so I could literally push some weights, some bigger weights for my legs and stuff, and do all of that. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we do need to encourage a mix of cardiovascular health. And you can sit in a chair and do the weights with a can of vegetables, jugs of
Yeah.
milk. It doesn't have to be super fancy stuff.
Yeah.
And even just it really does make a difference. I know my patients when they actually got into cardiac rehab and were actually exercising, they felt so much better,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll sleep better at night too. Okay, let's get to our last question so we can get everybody out of here. All right. So, well, this is Abriana asked, while it's technically true that type 2s can eat anything, it is not practical. Eating such small amounts of food make it impractical to have food on hand. Being able to have half a cup of cooked vegetables once per day or half a peach makes fruits and vegetables impossible to have as they go bad before they can be finished. I don't eat pasta, bread, rice, or sweets, and I'm not obese. Liver and kidneys are fine, blood pressure fine. Food is basically pointless for me now. So how can we make food more fun for Abriana?
Well, a half a cup of cooked vegetables once a day. I don't know what diet that they're following. I assume it's a diabetic diet.
Right. But that would
But
just be for one meal, correct? Not for the entire day.
I mean, what vegetables? I mean, you can have, probably a whole head of lettuce. I don't know what vegetables, they're talking about. But so far as, and I understand what they're getting at about the wasting of the fresh fruit and veg. If you buy it fresh, cut it up, freeze it.
Right.
Get canned fruit with the no sugar in the Splenda.
Right.
Eat some, put it in the refrigerator. That I hate that. Sad to me, food is basically pointless.
I know. That's sad for me too. That's why I was
Yeah,
hoping we could give her some things to help her not feel so restricted.
yeah, and I mean I understand that it's not practical aspect, but it just depends on what you're eating, and
I think getting familiar with the vegetables that are not starch based so that you can eat more of those
yeah,
is
yeah,
is a better idea. And I know it's hard with the fruit. because obviously the fructose, they do worry about the diabetics' blood sugars, but you can have a small orange. You
Yeah,
still
it's all part of your diabetic diet. How many
right,
carbohydrates are you allowed per meals and snacks?
right.
When you have that structured, then you can go off of that. Yeah,
Right,
I
and
can
I think
understand.
that's the piece that's missing for so many, especially type 2s, is they don't know how many carbs they're supposed to eat at each meal. I
Yeah,
don't think anybody's educating them about that.
yeah. So
They just think they have to eat salads now. Do you know?
yeah, it's I say I'm not sure what diet it is. I just assume because of the half a cup of cooked, there was a measurement in there and
Right,
the mention of the pasta or rice or whatever. But
right,
and that's what I get a lot of blowback on this when I say as a diabetic, you can have anything you want. uh, it just has to be your portion and fit into your diabetic diet and your carbohydrate amount for that meal or snack.
right. See, right, and I
And
think I don't know which doctor is gonna help them figure that out. I almost feel like your primary care not gonna tell you.
no, and I'm just speaking from, I mean, that's why here, I, every physician referred their patients to me. And it
Right.
just, it got so bad with the one on one that I'd have to do classes because
Mhm.
when you're booked out for, and it wasn't just diabetes. I mean, it was all
Right.
other, nutritional things too. So,
It's
I didn't want,
amazing that we have to have food to function, yet we have so many questions about it.
yeah. Yeah, and if you go to an endocrinologist, they should have a CDE or a
Right,
dietitian on staff that can help
right.
you with that.
I think I would definitely make sure if I was especially newly diagnosed that first I would look to see if the healthcare system in my local area offered any diabetes education because quite a few do. And you can actually attend classes. I know two of the healthcare systems I worked provided that. And they had like three or four classes. And
Yeah,
it was free to the public. You didn't pay a penny. And they had the diabetes educators there and they went over everything about the diet.
yeah. Well, like
But the thing is
Erica's,
you do have to then be prepared to make the changes because you can't go and take all the classes and then still eat a bologna sandwich on white bread because I've had
yeah.
that happen.
Well, Erica makes the point that handing a packet of info, if there is something that just torches my rear end, is getting handed a packet of information.
Oh yeah.
That does you no good. You need to have somebody there to teach you,
Right.
and guide you through it.
Right. That's
And
why I
and
say
I'm
these
not saying that all
in-person
doctors,
classes are better, but it's hard to find
yeah,
them.
yeah. And there are doctors out there that yes, they know their stuff. I'm just talking about in my
Right.
area, they're like, this is your expertise.
Right.
So I'm sending them to you. You know this,
Right.
and they can probably give you some basic information. But
Right.
yeah, you're right. There is a stark lack in certain areas of any type of diabetes education or
Right.
any other kind of
And I
nutrition
find it
education.
astounding because one of the reasons I came to nursing, other than my cousin having colon cancer really young, was my grandmother having type 2 diabetes and how it damaged her. And that was the first time I really learned what type 2 diabetes was. And she had strokes and all sorts of things as a complication of the disease.
Hmm.
And the more I learned about it, I've certainly tried to, I like a sweetie just like anybody, but I certainly try to be aware because I just know what an insidious disease it is. And we
Hmm.
don't do a great job. There's so many people who are undiagnosed as diabetics in this country,
Hmm.
and it's scary, really.
Yeah,
And then it's scary how little education because I think there's so many. Why aren't we educating people better about it? You know, like
absolutely.
why do so many type 2 diabetics not know what their carb goals should be each day and each
Hmm.
meal?
Absolutely. I mean, it's sad to say, and I'm not speaking on all physicians, but I've seen it where here's your medication.
Right. Oh yeah.
Come back in 3 months. We'll
Oh
check
yeah.
your A1C. Oh,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not
They'll
down
put
to
them on
that.
metformin.
Let's double your medication.
Yeah.
It's you should be terrified and do what you
Right.
can, because it's not just, oh, I got high blood sugar. I mean, it just wreaks havoc on your entire body.
Right. Absolutely. From the top to the bottom. I mean, it really, I mean, for somebody like Foodie Beauty to always be taking it so lightly, her diabetes is incredible in my mind that she sits there. So I think really what should we let Abriana know? Because she just seems restricted. So we don't want her to feel so restricted, but
No,
maybe fill up on more of the non-starchy vegetables.
I guess I would just, I mean, first of all, I really just need to know, what, if it's a diabetic diet you're following, what information were you given, how many carbohydrates, on what's your meal plan kind of thing. But just on the surface, your vegetables, if they're non-starchy, yes, they do have some carbohydrates, but you need to look at the amount.
Right.
Like a head of lettuce is, 1 carbohydrate. Okay,
Right.
well then, and you're allowed 5 at lunch, then okay, there's a head of lettuce, and now I can work my way through the other ones.
Right.
But fruits and vegetables, either canned or frozen, is a good alternative.
Right. Because then you can actually see kind of probably a portion size on there. So you may actually see the amount of carbs. So I know like a small orange, as they say, is around 15 grams of carb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that's better than the juice. If it's not that, what they don't want diabetics to do is to be relying on fruit juices, because that's not going to give you anything. It's no fiber, it's no nutrition in it. It's just sugar water, like a Coke, pretty much. I hate orange.
And I'll tell you something. I don't know if anybody in the chat has one. If they do, because I'm seriously thinking about buying one of those creamies. Have you seen those Ninja creamies?
No. What's that? Is that a new like smoothie maker? Because my Ninja died.
Oh. Yeah, you put like frozen fruit in the little thing, and best I saw, and hit the button, and it's like ice cream consistency.
Oh my gosh.
People were doing stuff with like the protein powders, peanut butter powders, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because my husband is an ice cream here. So I have to watch him constantly. I buy him frozen yogurt and I have to portion it out. It's a whole battle. So anyway, he's not diabetic, but they're pricey.
Well, you're working hard to make sure he doesn't become a diabetic, because I know my own dad was a fan of a sweet after his meal at night.
Yeah.
He felt denied if he wasn't getting pudding.
Yeah, and my husband is, but like I say, I'd ride herd on him. So, I prepare almost everything that goes in his mouth. So, tomorrow has one. I have one. It's pretty good. If you like it, you can. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, tomorrow you'll have to share that on our community post. Ninja Creamy. Oh my goodness! It's an ice cream and gelato maker.
But you can just use, not any high fat kind of stuff. And like I said, I saw somebody incorporating protein powder and stuff in it, to make it, more than just fruit kind of thing.
Oh, that's interesting. I might have to
look metabolic diet.
Okay. I'm going to your mom. That sounds like here's Abriana. She says she has
I'm gonna look into this.
Cardio metabolic diet, half a cup of veggies is once per day. Oh, Abriana.
Okay. I'm going to do a little research. And
that sounds good.
In the future, we'll touch back on this. Because
I would like to go back over that MALB again. So I think that's one that we might, and there's other things, coming up always. So I think for the summertime, we just keep encouraging people to get outside, to get their exercise, to be very cautious of fad diets. Just make sure that if you are starting something like that, just talk to your doctor. A lot of young people do them, that they don't have medical physicians, and you may not fully understand over time what you're doing to your body. I certainly don't like the idea of children being on diets. I would like a child to be just eating a healthy, balanced, meals and foods, but I I wouldn't want to put a child like on a restrictive calorie diet or some type of, I feel like it could promote other distortions to eating as people get older. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, but then you have to look at the stigma of how they're talked to and treated and the bullying as being an overweight child.
No, I can
What's
promise you, when you're a skinny kid, it doesn't get any easier.
Amen, sister. Amen.
I
I
was
was there.
tortured horribly for
Oh,
being
tooth
skinny at
pulled,
school. So
skin
I don't
cold. Yeah,
understand, I've never really, skinny to me is not a good thing because I was
yeah.
and I ate like a horse. I just, I guess I was running so much. I was a pretty active child, I was never stayed still. So,
Yeah. I think
um,
with the children, it would be something I would definitely take them to a professional,
right,
some guidance,
right,
some education for them, maybe get them involved in preparing their own food,
right.
some activity, take them to the park, let's go walking, let's do this. But,
I think there's,
it would have to be on a per basis with me, but I could see putting a child on a diet.
right. Well, the thing is it's funny because we shouldn't have to have children going on diets because we should be providing a healthy, balanced diet for them to enjoy. And I know there's kids with food sensory issues and all this stuff going on
Yeah.
nowadays that I never
Yeah.
heard of before. Promise
Well,
you, people were so hungry in my day. Kids were
yeah.
just happy to eat.
Yeah. And, Pat, she touched on it, if a child's overweight, it's because of the parent.
Right.
That's it in a nutshell. So the parent needs to get educated. You need to help the child. I'm not talking about like, oh, here's your Slim Fast shake for the
Right.
breakfast.
That's the type of diet culture I'm not wanting parents to introduce to children.
But the parents you need to take, you can see if your child's trending toward that, and you need to be proactive, and you probably need to change your lifestyle.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
know how busy these parents can get because I worked as a nanny while I was in nursing school, was to kind of, supplement my income, if you may.
Yeah.
And it was flexible. So it's like
Yeah.
there's no demands in this job. And I was horrified sometimes how much fast food these kids consumed,
Well,
because the moms worked a lot. And the dads weren't touching a dinner plate.
well,
Smart. Few of them were, not many.
The big joke with Gen Xers is, and it's the truth, it's a joke, but they had commercials reminding our parents you had kids. Are they home? There was no video games, there was no internet. We were outside and
I know. Have you checked on your children today?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to bash parents on this because as a parent,
we were the first generation where more parents were probably getting divorced.
Yeah. But, today you can't just say, okay, here, go out in the yard and play. I was always terrified somebody had snatched my kids.
Right.
So it's, and I'm not trying to, bash on parents because it's a different time now.
Right. It does seem that way. And maybe it wasn't a different time. It's just maybe our parents were a little more careless because there were kids who certainly went missing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were gone all day and you waited to hear the bell ring. Yeah. And you could be anywhere in the neighborhood. Your parents had no idea.
No.
For like all day long.
But it is, scary. I mean, my kids are 31, 28, and 22. And, I was always terrified of my kids, just running around nowadays.
Right.
Maybe I was overprotective, but a thing to do is, getting more active is not going to hurt you. Tell them to put down the video games, engage with your children, go out for a walk, ask them what's going on, what's something maybe, like to do, maybe develop a hobby together. So, yeah.
Oh, I know. The kids love to go out and walk and explore woods and stuff. I used to take the babysitting kids. I'd get them in my car and say, we're going to go to my place and walk my dog in the woods for 30 minutes. Yeah. And we'd go walk my dog and I take him back home. And I always go, you always get us out, because otherwise you come home. The first thing you do is go for the Cheez-Its and then you sit in front of the TV.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I understand they've been at school all day, but you're kids, you got energy. You could probably still go for a little bit longer, you know?
Our
And
parents, we had to go work in the garden. I had to split and chop and stack
oh
wood. I
yeah.
had to mow the yard. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we definitely were anticipated to do far more chores at a much
yeah,
younger age.
yeah. I mean,
um,
it
yeah,
was all of it we had to do, and it didn't matter. I was a girl. My daddy didn't care.
right.
He put me out there working just like a boy.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh, they
but
didn't. Yeah, it didn't matter.
yeah, so
Oh,
it's just I don't not trying to be too hard on parents, but I think a lot of it is the video internet era.
well, I think also there's just, I don't know. I think there's a sort of certain, culture that makes life very fast, and these kids are in a million activities. They're always doing stuff. The parents, it's just the amount of stuff, and because they're having to go to these activities all night, there's no time to cook a meal.
Yeah.
When you got your kids in cheer practice 4 nights a week or whatever the ridiculous scheduling they do on this stuff sometimes. I mean, I understand sports and stuff are important, but I almost feel like the kids are in sports, but they're not even getting good nutrition
Yeah.
sometimes. You
Well, yeah,
know?
pick up fast food on the way home kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on the way there and on the way back. Taco Bell one way and Chick-fil-A the other. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it, but, or the mom showing up with Chick-fil-A or whatever, and I understand.
Yeah.
So I just don't, and I think the dads need to do a little bit more sometimes, probably, to help out.
Mhm.
They're probably the first ones to go through the fast food lane.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
some reason, they think that's a good meal because it's a burger.
Yeah. Well, my oldest boy was not sports oriented. He was more video game, computer kind of thing. But we had issues with him and gaining weight. He was
Right.
painfully thin growing up. My
Well,
two other
I feel-
ones were in the band. So they were marching, they were band camps, they were doing, that was their gig, was band.
Right.
None of my kids played sports. My husband and I both played sports, but we didn't get no athlete. We just, no, I'm not saying band's not athletic. That's all band people.
My mother didn't understand where she got an athlete for, because my mother wasn't athletic.
Well, my mother definitely wasn't, but my
She
dad.
never understood why I had to run, but that was her excuse for me to get any energy out. She's like, "You just need to go exercise."
Yeah. Mhm.
So it does become addictive over time, and you enjoy getting out and how it makes you feel, especially as we start to age. I think it's even more important to start to think about. I mean, we need to think about our diets from a young age, but I
Mhm.
think just kind of giving into the fact that we're getting older and now I get to do whatever I want. It's not,
No.
pardon me. It's not the philosophy.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have been at this for like 3 hours, which is wild.
Woo! That
Because
just
we
flew by.
have a ton of energy.
Well,
I
that
want
was
to
some.
thank all my moderators in the chat.
Yeah. Pat, Miss Pat, Team Psych Ward. That was an excellent idea
Yes.
of Team Psych Ward.
Yes, thank
Absolutely
you, Team
fantastic.
Psych Ward. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, because we need to not always talk about these girls.
Yeah. And
Other.
I say it every time, I'll say it again. Your chat is just really, they're so informative and they're inquisitive. And these questions were really good. And
Oh, they were
I like,
excellent.
that kind of stuff. So you've really got a great community. And
I'm
so now
excited.
tell me one more time, memberships are available when?
I'm thinking I'm releasing them tomorrow during Saturday Vibes Live, because
Okay.
we've got a fashion haul. Glitters and Lasers went somewhere recently. I think it was J Crew. So we got a J Crew fashion haul tomorrow, and I'm excited.
Okay.
I know people say that I give her too much credence when I do the fashion hauls, but they're fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I watched one that you did Can't remember when it was.
Oh yeah,
I'm
we
not
get to
getting my
vote on the outfits and
notifications.
everything, man. She even
Yeah.
wore one of the outfits we voted on as a favorite. There was
Well, I
one
will be
girl like, "Who
anxiously
looks good in
awaiting
that?"
the
And she wore
expansion,
it,
but
so
you've got a great community. Now, what do you
excellent community. I'm excited. I'm
have you
excited to
got
grow it
names
further.
for your members, like the good vibrations
I
or
do. I have 2 membership tiers that are gonna be coming out. So I have, one is called, Best Life, and the other tier is Good Vibes.
okay, good deal.
Something or Good Life and Best Vibes. That's it. Good
Okay,
Life and Best Vibes. That's it.
good
So it's
deal.
Good Life and Best Vibes,
Well,
and they're very reasonably priced, and they got
well,
lots of bonuses because I've already got the badges. I've released a couple of the emojis out. The glucometers one, the 5.8 is pretty reasonable for Chantel. And I have obviously sad pancreas, as we know.
yes,
And
sad
there's some
pancreas.
others. I don't think I can release them all yet. So the video may show more different emojis. And I think as I grow, I can get access to more emojis because I do want to get some RX pill bottles at some point too. But I've done
Yeah.
a few different things. So hopefully people will enjoy them and I'll release all the benefits out. I may have a post go out tomorrow morning about it. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Good
excited. I just
deal.
need to do a voiceover to this video I had finished because I had a graphic designer do all this stuff. I
Oh, good deal. Professional.
yeah. Yes, I'm from a professional background. And I just felt that if people were going to want to enjoy it and be able to throw the emojis in and do all these different things, that I would make them like appropriate to things that we talk about in the community and a lot to do with like
Mhm.
obviously health and fitness. And they're just
Yeah.
silly. They're fun.
Yeah.
I had to include a sad pancreas because we know how
Yeah.
sad
Yeah.
and
That's the
pumpkin.
best one.
Oh yeah, sad
I love that.
pancreas. I know. So I have a few different things coming out. And like I said, so I have a new banner I'm gonna be putting up, which is the one that's let me take this screen share down real quick. There we go. So I'm gonna make us small for a second. Let me see if I can do that. No, it won't let me do it. Well, behind us is my new banner sitting here. So I have a new
Yeah.
banner that's going to be
Yeah.
put out that's going to have the branding on it. So I added a lot of perks to the tiers. So I did. I
Well,
was generous.
good.
So,
That's good.
but something that I felt was doable for me too, that I wouldn't become overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly working on more things. Eloise was not in the chat, but I have obviously a pharmacist from the UK who's
Yeah.
interested in coming on panel. So we're talking, we're in, emails about that at the moment. So I'm excited. I know she's busy, like any good pharmacist.
Yeah.
So she's going to be on, and that would be interesting because she comes from a different healthcare system. And so I mean, I see this kind of like, you know, my vision is kind of a global community where we get to have discussions around health and obviously it's a lot of us ladies, but I think we have sometimes specific health needs that aren't often addressed,
Mhm.
like the big M, which
Yeah.
I don't want to be the face of menopause, but I'm okay with that.
Well, oh, okay.
Somebody has to be brave enough to be okay with saying they're in menopause. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like there is such a stigma around it. And I wish there wasn't. I feel like because we have such a focus on youth, that obviously if you're at a time of a life as a female and you're showing that you're no longer youthful, that's it's a it's a hard time for us women sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of weight gain. And so I think trying to make sure that you're adjusting your diet and taking out some of the heavier fats and creams and things that are just giving you extra calories, save it
Mhm.
for a treat, but don't do
Yeah.
it every day.
Yeah.
Try to
And
find
I
a healthier alternative and keep it
and
in the house. Don't keep that crap in your house because you'll eat it.
absolutely. And you know this, and you can speak very well on this, as you get older, and well, even if you're young, But if you have some type of catastrophic health event, I mean, it could be breaking a leg. I'm not talking about
Right.
just, yeah. But if you are overweight, obese, or whatever, your clinical outlook, like, if you had to be bedbound,
Oh,
for that issue, you're looking at some really bad things coming your way.
right.
So,
And it's usually a cascade down. It's
yeah,
very rare that you see these patients, I hate to say it, improve.
exactly. I mean,
When
pressure
they get to
ulcers,
that level,
yeah.
there's very little improvement.
And if you have to do any type of physical therapy or rehab, it's very hard to do.
Right.
So just all around, it's better just to try
Right.
to get in
Right.
that
I think
healthy.
that people think they're going to get all this health care in their 70s and it's going to miraculously fix stuff. And it's very hard to go through surgery as you get older. I've having, a surgery recently and I'm having a fallout, which was not expected. But,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know if it's because I'm a healthcare worker and I've just been more exposed to stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is possible, and then I know my immune system was down to nothing in
Yeah.
December because I was just had so much going on that I just was depleted of everything at that point. And so I'm sure I was more prone because even though I wasn't really celebrating Christmas, it was just a stressful time of year for me because everything was
Mm-hmm.
going wrong. And I was still trying to take pathophysiology at grad school level
Oh, God. Ugh.
and work full time, and
Yeah.
have my dog need to be, put to sleep and somebody shoot my car with a bullet through my windshield on the interstate.
Lord, have mercy.
Oh, I know. And I'm like, why does nobody think I'm stressed? I can't recover from this surgery. Somebody threw a brick at my car too when I was driving down the interstate. I cannot make this stuff up. It just missed my windshield by about half an inch and left
I,
this huge dent above my windshield.
you do that
Yeah,
around my
and
car
then I got a flat tire, and then I think I got managed to get a nail into the donut as I was driving to the tire shop and had to be towed there. And then somebody shot twice at my windshield on the interstate because I heard pop pop, and I had 2 bullet holes. It blew out like my state inspection sticker, and I was supposed to take my
Gosh.
dog to the vet that day because she was dying. My other dog, who I had to put to sleep, my old Pomeranian. And I'm still trying to go to work, and I'm still trying to take my pathophysiology, and now I've got to get the car in the shop. Oh, yeah. It was a lot. I felt
Man.
bad to my friend because I was like, I don't think I'm going to make your wedding.
you, you make my house building seem so trivial now. My big,
I would like a house. Well, I don't know, a house build. That's a heck of a lot of work too. I'm thinking about, I want to move and get a place, but I'd like to have it that it's already built and somebody flipped it and did it up for me because I don't want to deal with. I did all the work in this place. I actually put my own floorboards in, and I don't want to go through that ever again.
no. My next move's to the boneyard. That's
Right. Right. I'm trying to get my retirement house, my little place in the country, but I don't need anything big. I just want to, I could do 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. I really don't need very much. I want more of a yard for the dog than anything else. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, yeah, I know. I just yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah. So, Chantel might put out all her stories, but I promise you, they don't even match my month of December last year.
Well, you don't rip your stories off of Degrassi, so there's a difference.
No, I'm
So,
not. Unfortunately, my stories are not based on Degrassi High. So, and I was reporting my manager for that AED mistake too. So I was being hated at work as well. So it was just great. Because I got my manager in trouble. So they didn't like that. So, oh well.
Well, if I can do anything for you, you let me know.
Well, you just being on this panel for my community is awesome because I know that people enjoy it. And, people come back and watch these lives afterwards. And I think we just need to keep this message going as the community builds. Obviously, more people will hear it. It's so much noise out there. Obviously, I'm hoping I can improve my computer so we can go live and, make it more seemingly interactive because I know it's important to people. But I'm just excited to, try to get a platform, especially with professional women talking about healthcare, because it's so important. I just can't stress it enough. You shouldn't ignore it. How you eat, and even from a young age, a lot of the damage is done when you're young. So just be
Mhm.
aware, all you fast food kids out there.
Yes, I agree. I second that motion.
All right. So Sam just got back from her walk. Is there any parting words of wisdom? Thank you. Thank you, Pat. I hope so too. I always stay positive that things will always get better. I'm like, now I got this nasal infection that my plastic surgeon has never seen before. So I'm like, oh, typical.
Oh, gosh. Well, everybody just stay healthy, eat healthy, get moving, do your own research, be your own advocate.
Right.
That's
And be judicious about where you do your research. Make sure it's
yeah,
a .org or a .edu or a .gov.
yeah,
Don't be very cautious of fitness influencers or anybody selling you a miracle.
yeah. Because if it worked, everybody would do it. And
Right.
check with your pharmacist, Bella. She good source of information there before you
Right.
start any kind of
Absolutely.
supplements. If you can't ask your physician, ask your pharmacist. They probably
Absolutely.
know more than
The
than your doctor.
physician. Oh,
Yeah,
for the drugs, absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of times the pharmacist will tell you that this shouldn't be taken with that. So just then go back to your doctor and say, "Hey, the pharmacist alerted me about this."
yeah.
You know?
And go to your doctors. I mean, look, everything's expensive and stuff. I know, but it's just some basic labs are not very expensive.
No, they're not.
Um,
And you can buy them online and take yourself to a lab core.
yeah, yeah.
If
Well,
you just want to do an
actually,
A1C,
like,
you know?
well, Bella works at Vanderbilt, but a lot of Walgreens and stuff do that lab draws.
They do?
Yeah,
Okay, because I bought some very cheap labs one time on LabCorp, or some lab site, and it gave me a big discount. I don't think I spent $60, and I was able to get like cholesterol and my A1C, and I think something else. I got a
yeah,
decent panel, you know, and at
yeah,
least it will tell you high or low, and
yeah,
so you can either talk to your physician about it or find a physician. But that's one thing in the United States that maybe other people in other parts, like in the UK, you can't just go draw labs like that. So if you don't have insurance, there are ways to still be able to get that information and be able to at least look at your A1C and make sure it's a normal range, because that's going to
yeah,
tell you about your diabetes.
yeah. So,
And we need to keep encouraging people to, not be Chantel.
yeah. And sometimes if they're drawing for a certain thing, just say, "Hey, can you run a CBC and a CMP?"
Right,
And sure, they're basic blood tests and they're
right.
very cheap, and so then get it all. If there's something you're concerned about.
Right. Right. And I think even like some city health departments might even do stuff. I don't know. It
Yeah,
depends, you
yeah, it
know.
depends. Yeah,
And there are even, some in my area, there are some prorated urgent care centers for people that can get appointments actually to see a doctor that are based on you not having insurance. And they will prorate your costs that you pay based on your income.
yeah, yeah. The no insurance, it's cheaper here at my urgent care. If you have no insurance, it's $75 for the whole kit and caboodle visit, a
Right.
shot, whatever. With
Right.
my insurance, it can be I'm out of pocket $250,
Right.
$260.
Honestly, sometimes it's worth to ask what the self-pay is.
Just tell them your self pay when you make the appointment. So
Right,
because they'll really
exactly.
discount it. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You still can see your physician as a self-pay, and it
yeah,
might even work out less expensive than through the insurance product. You'd be surprised. Sometimes it's even worth looking at GoodRx for prescriptions, because I've had them less expensive on GoodRx than on my insurance.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
I had a
we
steroid
we
cream
have
that
to
was
use
much less
CVS with
Sorry?
my insurance. We have to use CVS with my insurance.
Oh,
They
no,
have
I just
that
asked him to
contract.
run what's known as the good RX price and compare it to my insurance price. And I've actually had some drugs that have come out less with the good RX. And it's like a bonus plan. Every time I go to Walmart, I'm like, give me the good RX price. Because at the moment I don't have insurance, obviously, because I'm not working. But that's what I've asked, and I had, like I said, I had one like steroid cream that was $11 cheaper on the good RX than all my prescription cost.
Huh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Good to know. Good
Yeah.
information.
Always double check that. Always
Yeah.
double check, because you'd be shocked. Because sometimes they have an insurance set price, and like I said, I've saved a lot of money. And luckily, Walmart was really good, because I discovered it afterwards, and they honored the coupon and returned me that money. So it was $11. $11 is a substantial amount of money.
You learn something new every day.
Yes. So I always say just double check, because the insurance, you obviously want insurance, but sometimes it can make things more expensive.
Absolutely.
It's wild. It's wild. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, we so appreciate it. I'm going to get on and take my puppy out for a walk before it rains. I'm going to get ready for Saturday Vibes Live and Miss Glitter's fashion haul. And I'm going to try to get the things ready to release these memberships. So I'm excited. I just want to thank all my mods, Miss Bella Talia being here, Miss Pat Ray. I know I had Angel of Glass in here. I know I had Miss Brooke, I think, showed up at one point. I know Miss Rosebud popped in. I know Mrs. Huerta's interested in becoming a mod, so we'll make sure we do that next time. And just and all of you guys who came on through and just supported us today and showed support for Cheekbones and what she's trying to. The word she's trying to spread. And I'm just so glad that you're willing to share it on my community, because I think it makes it so much more exciting for us here and gives us a different, trajectory. Because, I don't mind reacting to the girls, but they can drive me nuts sometimes.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
Chantel has been wild lately. I don't even know what to say about what she's doing. It's awful. I can't even react. It's so bad. It's like, how many times do I keep telling this person's an unmanaged, uncontrolled type 2 diabetic?
Oh, I love you too, Team Psych Ward.
Yes, thank you, Team Psych Ward, for this recommendation today. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. So let me let everyone go. Don't forget to like. If you're on the replay, hit replay. All that good stuff. And we'll plan for another one. Maybe we'll go through a recipe one night. Maybe we'll get you to actually walk us through a meal plan for the day or something. How would that
be great?
Would that sound? I think a lot of people would appreciate that, because I think we talk a lot about it, but I think people would love to hear like concrete things to actually eat. I really feel like that's what people sometimes just want to be told. What should I eat?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'm up for it.
Perfect. Well, we were going to be planning that one then. Yes, meal planning. Yes, I think we need to keep, and I'm so just excited that you're willing to share this with the community here and be a counteract to what the girls are doing.
Well, I appreciate the sharing the platform and giving me a voice. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited. I'm a huge fan of registered dietitians. I've always promoted them with my patients. And so to actually have one working with me on this panel, it's exciting for me. So I appreciate it so much. So anyway, I'm going to say bye. Do you want to say bye? And then we're just going to hit my subscribes and my music out.
Yep. Toodles, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Yes. Be safe, everybody, wherever you are in the world, because we know we get lots of different listeners. Just be safe, be kind, give a smile to a stranger. It's a simple thing to do. All right. Like I said, if you do like this type of content, hit the subscribes, leave me a like, and we'll see you on the next one.